Shrug family, this week on Barbell Shrugged, we're throwing it back to Bert Soren. We actually got to go down to Sorinex about 2 years ago and meet Bert. We got to ride on his boat. That was super cool. Everybody hanging out, a bunch of meatheads floating around on a boat, having the conversations about getting jacked. But I wanted to rerun this episode because there's a few nuggets in here that I think are just life-changing. A couple stories in here about pursuit of greatness, trying to achieve your best self. And I think that there's just a lot of valuable lessons. It's an interesting dynamic that his dad was actually the founder of Sorinex, and he has taken it over and taken the company to heights that not many people actually get to go play the game of business at, in a sport and that he loves. That goes all the way back, obviously, with his dad creating Sorinex, probably to a garage somewhere and making their own squat racks and barbells and all kinds of cool stuff. But I think there's also a lot to be learned about his college track and field, how strength permeates through his life. And as always, make sure you get over to rapidhealthreport.com. That's where Dan Garner, Dr. Andy Galpin are doing a free lab style and performance analysis, and you can access that over at rapidhealthreport.com. Friends, let's get into the show.
Good.
Welcome to Barbell Shrugged. I'm Anders Marner, Doug Larson, Coach Travis Smash, and Bert Soren. We're in one of the most beautiful gyms
Ever.
I haven't walked in a gym in so long. We haven't been on the road in so long. I feel like we just walked into the Mecca, and if there was a Sorinex bed over there, I'd be the new roommate.
There's one right there, actually.
Oh, there it
I have
is.
a few in there. So
there you go.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, not even joking.
Yeah, totally true.
Yeah, take a nap.
One thing, as soon as the word Sorinex pops in my brain, I immediately think about like the culture that you guys have created here and how long this company has been here. I'd love to hear just at the beginning, kind of talking about the early days,
Sure.
and then you growing up as like in the world of strength,
Yeah.
and then how you've kind of progressed this into the next era of Sorinex. But where did this whole thing start with you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't really say where it started with me without starting with my dad,
Yeah.
Richard Soren. So he started Sorinex in 1980, but that wasn't when he got into lifting and things like that. So kind of way back, the Wayback Machine, kind of the Tarantino, this thing. So you go back to, he was born 1950, so it was in the late 50s, early 60s. So he was a kid, wasn't very good at reading, just didn't have the knack for it.
What we were talking about last night.
Yeah, so his dad would buy him Field and Stream type magazines, outdoors magazines, hunting, fishing, stuff like that, because that's what he was interested in. But he also would buy him strength and health magazines. And they're kind of funny, again, from the Muse standpoint, the reason why he liked both of those is because the movies that were on TV back then were African Queen and Hercules.
Oh, yeah.
So he would see Hercules and go big and strong.
Steve Reeves.
Awesome. Right, sure.
Yeah, totally.
And then like, hey, this is called outdoorsy, adventure-y type stuff. So this little impressionable kid was going, these things look super cool.
Super cool.
His dad would buy him the magazines because that would make him read. And then so if you look at it from like an inception standpoint,
Brilliant.
you get a little kid that all he reads about is like kind of cool, masculine, like adventure-y stuff.
It was like before the internet, before there was like a strength conditioning blog.
Sure.
He was doing it, but through magazines.
But he was just like reading, and his mom would go, "Why are you buying him all these magazines?" He goes, "Well, he's reading, ain't he?"
Yeah.
And so
that's what he likes.
She was like,
right. And so he would just do that. And so he got into, he wanted to throw a javelin, right? He thought that was kind of cool. It's like a spear or whatever. So he was going to do that. Actually, he was lifting weights at the time. So before that, he was lifting weights because he thought it was really cool and followed the York barbell guys, the Grimmicks and the Tommy Konos and the Szymanskis, like all those, the OGs, right?
Yeah, right.
And those are the dudes he followed.
Yeah.
And to the extent where, like when he was 11 years old, his mom, which is crazy to think about, 1961, 62.
Bob Hoffman era.
Bob Hoffman, right?
Totally.
Put him on a train and let him go to York, Pennsylvania at 11 years old and check into his own hotel room and go to the York Senior Nationals.
Oh, my God.
And watch Bednarski hit the world record.
Yes.
Took a picture with him, saw Grimmick, met Hoffman, all those
America
cats.
was like the best then.
Right. They were the OGs, right?
Yeah.
And then the second day, they would have the York picnic. which was a cookout, and that's when kind of bodybuilding was first cracking off. So they would have the Tommy Konos and all the Grimmicks, these guys that just had lifted. They would do exhibition powerlifting stuff.
Because a lot of the bodybuilding stuff was the secondary sport to the powerlifting and the Olympic weightlifting.
Well, it was Olympic weightlifting. Powerlifting wasn't even really a thing.
It was called
then.
odd lifts.
Odd lifts. So the guys were all snatching and squatting. And they were squatting to make their snatch and clean and jerk better.
Yeah.
So then they would have after the nationals, guys were all peaked for the nationals, and then they would go, hey, look, I could squat 600 pounds.
It still happens. Like my guys will always compete, and then they'll go do their 1 rep max squat.
Sure. Yeah. And then that Sunday, they would literally get on stage and freaking start
flex it out.
And you're going, okay, these guys aren't bodybuilders. They're literally weightlifters that just happen to be jacked.
Yeah.
It's so funny because when I think of Sorinex, and we were talking about on the car ride down here, of like, I just think of strength.
Cool.
We don't have to like partition it out.
No.
We do this and we do that. It's like, let's just be strong.
Just be strong.
That's
be strong.
the founding
like
culture that it was originally established.
So
modern day York, I think.
Yeah, so he saw that as a kid, and he said the coolest part was he was an 11-year-old kid hanging out with all these people, and they were open, and they had this big picnic. And so if you look at it, 50 years later, that's really kind of where Summer Strong is. We work, we train, we do all this stuff hard, and then we all go hang out together.
Yeah.
Because, I've kind of taken the SET, which is struggle, eat, and talk. Those are the 3 best ways, especially done in that succession, to really bond people together. And you look at it from like the caveman days. What did they go do? They went, hey, we're going to go together. We're going to kill that woolly mammoth with a spear, and it's going to be a lot of struggle. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
We're going to sit around
Carry
the fire.
that mother trucker.
We're going to sit around the fire and eat. And then we're going to talk, and we're going to regale each other with these stories and relive the hunt and all this. Like, man, since the dawn of time, that's what people did. What did we do when we were lifting? We went and trained really hard. Let's go eat.
And drink beer.
Saturday morning.
And
The
then
best.
let's just go talk about whatever dumb crap we talk about.
Whatever the training we
go
did.
to your favorite restaurant with the biggest cheeseburger.
Sure.
Totally.
Have a beer.
If you're at West Side, you go to Bob Evans every day.
I go to Bob Evans, with Louis, and he buys. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Totally.
So that's kind of how that started with Pops. And then he got pretty good at lifting. And so he and his buddies, they were weightlifting all the time. And Pops actually built his own platforms. He lived near a railroad, went through his backyard. And so he, liberated a few of the railroad ties and would slide them down the railroad tracks, and then he would flip them over like a caber over his back fence, and he built his first weightlifting platform.
No
when he was a
way.
kid.
Was most of this just because there was no Sorinex around to buy equipment, and he just needed to engineer his own things to get stronger?
Yes. And there was a place called Jackson Barbell, or Jackson, I guess it was Jackson Barbell. Andy Jackson. He was a his stuff is very collectible now, but he lived like 20 miles from Pops, which is really super collectible. It was
Andy Jackson.
Yeah. So you had York, which was like the big hitters, but then you had Andy Jackson, who everything was just a little nicer.
Oh.
And so when he was a kid, so if he got good grades or whatever, his dad was a bartender, would be off on Sundays. He would take him to Jackson Barbell to the guy's house who had a foundry at his house.
Yeah.
And if he got good grades, he'd like be able to buy a pair of 2.5 pound plates. And like he was always going home, and so he built this little gym out in his basement in his backyard. His basement was for power lifts because he couldn't go overhead.
Yeah.
And then outside he had a platform that he would train overhead.
Weightlifting. That's brilliant. Yeah.
So that was what he did. And he was an only child. His parents worked all the time, so he wasn't really allowed out of the yard. So it was like, this is your world. And so Pop's like, well, I'm going to make my world awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to build the stuff out, and I'm going to read a bunch of magazines, and I'm going to go out and do the stuff.
That's awesome.
And then later on, they had the Cedar Street Boys, so they had this gym that they put in their buddy's basement. They would pay a quarter every month to work out there, and they would use that money to buy the family a Christmas present at the end of the year and all this stuff. Then he lifted at the and this all kind of ties into the story for so it's kind of strange, but it's a lot of stuff. So then he was at the Elizabeth, New Jersey YMCA, which was a crazy gym if you think about it. It sounds like a YMCA, but
YMCAs were different back then.
They were different back then. So you had a couple other lifters. You had a high schooler, Richard Soren. You had Dave Draper.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right before he went to – because Pops didn't even know it until I talked to Dave one day, and he goes, I lifted at the YMCA. I go, You go, really? He goes, yeah, I left there like at 66 to go to California. And I remember Pop's always saying, there was a big blonde bodybuilder. Didn't know that was him. He goes, yeah, he was just Big Dave. I'm like, that was Dave Draper. He goes, no shit.
Yes.
And so
exactly.
There was probably so few strong people around that if you went to a strong person gym,
yes,
everyone had been there and trained so long because there's hundreds of thousands of strong people.
The YMCA back then would put on the powerlifting nationals, the weightlifting, they were strength back then.
So if you like really wanted to do it, you had to go to that specific gym
that spot
where there was a culture of being strong.
Yeah, and you had Anthony Datillo, who you've probably read about. You know,
of course.
Datillo was Pops' training partner. They were the same age.
Here in New Jersey, what gym in New Jersey?
Elizabeth YMCA, right outside of Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, it used to be like even in North Carolina, you had Jack King, and he had his
it was
in a YMCA. Steve Jack, my man.
Sure.
You know, God rest his soul, rest in peace. But he, they had it was at a YMCA, but it was gangster. It was like
super bad.
They had cellar dwellers. You remember that there was a show that they were making about these gyms
with
that
Brookfield
are all hardcore.
and Jack.
Yeah. So I trained with all those dudes. Like, Jack King was one of my first weightlifting coaches. Steve Jack was like just awesome guy that hung out.
So you're born into a world of strength. What is growing up in that?
A strange world, because you got to remember, so you fast forward, I'm born in 76, and all the other kids are doing all the other kid crap.
Yeah.
You know? And then my mom and dad got divorced, so I would go over to Pops' house, and I have pictures at 8 years old, like, deadlifting double body weight on Alico plates. You know, and like what other 8-year-old in that early 80s knew that Alico was made
you
of
had like the only barbell that was capable of making it across on a barge somewhere. There was like one.
Or like Pops I remember like asking him to draw pictures, and he would draw pictures of Kazmaier and Nikita Koloff when I was a kid, because he thought they were super cool because they were jacked. And he was friends with Kaz. So I remember like, this is awesome. So like my childhood was significantly different in some ways.
I'm sure my boys are going to say so.
I hope my daughter has the same weird existence.
Yes, it's weird because weird people end up doing some pretty amazing crap later. Right.
Dr. Andy Galpin here. As a listener of the show, you've probably heard us talking about the Arate program, which we're all incredibly proud of. It's a culmination of everything Dan Garner and I have learned over more than 2 decades of working with some of the world's most elite performers, award-winning athletes, billionaires, musicians, executives, and frankly, anyone who just wanted to be at their absolute best. Arate is not a normal coaching program. It's not just macros and a workout plan. It's not physique transformation and pre and post pictures. Arate is something completely different. Arate is incredibly comprehensive and designed to uncover your unique molecular signature, find your performance anchors, and solve them permanently. You'll be working with not one person, but rather a full team of elite professionals, each with their own special expertise to maximize precision, accuracy, and effectiveness of your analysis and optimization plan. Arate isn't about treating symptoms or quick fixes. It's about unlocking your full potential and looking, feeling, and performing at your absolute best, physically and mentally, when the stakes are the highest. To learn more, visit aratelab.com. That's ARETE lab.com. Now, back to the show.
Right.
And so it was just always the physical culture was around. So we had a home gym at his house, and he was training hard at the time, and so I would just be in there and watch the interaction between he and the other lifters, and seeing people just do crazy stuff like. And the point of it was there was no cameras, there was no internet then.
Yeah.
We're going to do this because we're going to do stuff that we view as valuable. And I remember seeing Dad, even to this day, it's crazy. 1985, he weighed 235 probably. Did a lockout from here, 1331, no straps.
That's
it's still the world record.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're like, I go, why did you do that? He goes, I just wanted to see what I could do that day. I said, did you train for it? He goes, no. He goes, I just went to see. And I'm thinking, it's so far above any guy that you were training of. Why the heck did that even seemed like a good idea.
Because he could.
That was actually my first impression. My first impression of your dad, like growing up, going to NSCA and whatnot. My strength coach would always go over there and talk to your dad and talk to you. And I met you like 15 years ago, maybe briefly. And that was my first impression of your dad. Was like grip strength was like the thing.
Sure.
That he was really, really good at. I remember trying to lift the inch dumbbell, and not moving it, basically at all, kind of just rolling it a little bit. But was he always just like that? He always just had super strong hands naturally, and then he developed it.
Crazy. We found a picture of him. He was either 12 or 13 because he was wearing little like slippers that you wear like the 1960s little like bedroom slippers things, and he has a pair of 35s pinched in one hand, smooth sides out, and 25s in the other hand.
Wow. He's how old?
12 or 13.
Oh, that's freak. He's a freak.
Totally. And
does he have big hands?
Same size as mine. They're big, but not giant. But then he would just tell me all these crazy things. He's like, well, we couldn't clean and jerk in the basement, so I would clean from my knees and jerk. So or he was telling me a story. I think it was his 14th birthday. 13, I think it was 14 or 15, I can't remember. But he said the night before he turned whatever which one that was, he had 500 loaded on the bar, and he said he sat downstairs and was crying his eyes out because he couldn't deadlift the 500, and finally, before he went to bed, he finally made it.
Oh, that just gave me chills.
Yeah, and then you're just like, oh my gosh, this has been...
I think that's such a cool thing because, like, in today's age, you always have to have a camera on you, or it doesn't, like, nobody...
Only child in his basement, just like
there's no way somebody would just sit there and lift in their basement in a dungeon.
People ask for my videos all the time. I just kicked. That was not the point of it.
Yeah. Right.
When I was lifting, it was.
I've tried to find old
There's
Travis
like
Mass
one or
training
two
videos,
and like I never was. I never had. Hey, will you film my lifts?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was there to win, to beat people, to beat world records,
to chase
Ed Cohn,
and to find out who the strongest person was.
Yeah, I didn't care about video. You
and
to read about it,
and to ride that wave inside you. Like when you get that and the adrenaline spikes and your tunnel vision, your pupils, and you're just like, I'm living right now. I'm riding that Superman wave right now.
I never would have thought, hey, video this.
No.
That was the farthest thing from my mind.
It's cool if it got on video. Because I get to look back now and go, wow, that was pretty awesome.
I have like one good video. One world record is on video. That's it.
Right.
I mean, I'm glad. But
like you mentioned Tommy Kona earlier. Like that was my impression of him too. He lifted in the basement like on iron plates with like shitty equipment, like no weightlifting shoes, like didn't use a hook grip. Like he was trying to like just have everything just be about his performance and not rely on the equipment and rely on really nice stuff. It's nice to have nice stuff, of course. That's why we're here, basically, to get nice stuff. But like that old school, like rough, like I don't need anything. It's all about 100% effort and just you just use what you have.
That's it. It's 100%. It's kind of funny, fast forward, we'd have the gym and guys would come in there like, hey, man, I'm about to hit, my whatever PR, like, hey, play a certain song. And Dad's like, if you have to play a song to get excited to lift or to hit your best lift, it's not in your heart.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want it that bad. Like, you just don't want it that bad. If you can't do it in the basement by yourself at 10 o'clock at night,
then you can't
because you've just decided, I was going to do this before I turned this, some arbitrary goal that you're just going, I'm going to effing do this today because this is what my destiny holds.
Yeah.
Then maybe this ain't for you, or not to that level, right?
And I think most people don't start weightlifting early enough in their life to go on that journey. They just kind of want results.
Of course. I want to look better naked.
That's a really interesting piece when you find people that have done this their entire life. And you go, well, when did you start? And they're like, 11. 14, 16.
11 seems to be the key.
Like, you're 11, I was 13, you were 13, 14. It just, there's something inside us that we have to go pick it up.
Yes. And you've seen like the blob. It's like the half of a 100-pound old 100-pound dumbbell.
Yeah.
So years ago in the 80s, like he dropped a dumbbell or something and it bent. So he broke or something. He cut off the handle and it was just in the garage for years. And he would keep moving around. And one day he was like, I'm going to try to pick this. Like, shit, I can't pick this thing up. And for years he tried to pick it, which is wild to think.
He's trying to palm it like a basketball?
Yeah, to try to palm it like a basket. It is like a convex edge, so it's real difficult to do. And now it's known as like one of the world feats of grip strength. But he screwed with this thing for years. And I'm thinking, like, what made you after the first year think it was still doable when you couldn't do it? And finally he got it, and then he sent it to like Randy Stross and Iron Mind and stuff like that, and they're like, what are you even doing? He's like, I don't know, but I don't know anyone else who can do it. You know, and
find somebody else who can do it. That's what I did. Yeah.
And then Brookfield and some other guys, when I was a kid, they came out and they met and all this stuff, and Brookfield was like, that's the hardest shit I've ever tried, you know. And then he finally was able to do it, and then that like became a thing. But I keep looking like, when you don't even know something is a contest, what keeps you going to try to win a thing that doesn't even exist? Like, that's wild to me.
Growing up in the mountains, like, one of the things we used to do is, like, you know, hay, you're baling hay, and you just want to see how many bales of hay you can throw in one hand, throw up on a truck. And like, so it starts with one. If you can do that, that's amazing. You go to two, that's separates you from most people. You do three, and it's like you're a legend.
You're a legend. You're a legend.
But why? Is it that when you start to look at the original strong, it's like, well, there's a rock on the ground.
Correct.
Who's going to pick that up?
Yes.
Exactly. Well, the person that picks it up must be a man.
Must be
a man, because no one else can do it. And that's, I feel like those are like the origins of what we all do professionally. 100%. Now it's like, well, who's the big guy that's going to pick that rock up?
Yeah,
well,
I don't know if it's good, but it's better than y'all.
We should make sure that he gets the hot chick in town, because we need more of him.
Have you ever met the Gillinghams from Minnesota? Their hands. They have mitts. It's like I've never met someone who has hands.
Where are they?
They're in Minnesota.
I mean, their dad was a Pro Bowler for the Packers, I believe.
I don't know.
All three brothers have been either world record holders, professional strongmen. I mean, like,
I just assume anytime someone says strong people, it's like Jackal's Gym, where I bought my first pair of Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
They were like the only people selling Ray-Bans at the time.
No, these dudes have
Jackal's Gym actually might have been owned by the Gillinghams. I'm pretty sure.
I am pretty sure it was.
Is. No,
Brad Gillingham.
That's Brad and those are.
I don't know his brother. Brad told me he's the first one that actually did to deadlift with a double overhand hook. I feel I was second. Like, and then I saw him do it. I'm like, wait, I was a weightlifter first. Why am I doing over under? And then I switched.
Right.
Then Steve Goggins, and then now it's a thing.
Now it's a thing.
Yeah. But Brad Gillingham was the first one to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think Gillingham has something like one of the most 400 kilo deadlifts. Like,
I remember when he did 881 drug free in USAPL. Like, he was a man, because he did, you know.
Yeah.
Hats off. Like, he did it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident he was legit drug free, and like, wow.
Yeah. So when did you officially start kind of like training?
So I would play around with it as a kid, like, you know, you go over to Pops' house, and like he would always bait me with like little like G.I. Joe men and stuff like that. So I see my son getting the same treatment. Like, my son's really into dinosaurs. And Pops like, hey, Ezra, if you could do this, like, you know, like my 6-year-old deadlifted 100 pounds, and you're like, geez, of course it's going to cost.
You better get it going.
So,
you gotta pick up your game.
Get rock on it.
Yeah.
Well,
so
Bear gets a little older.
I would say when I was probably a freshman in high school, so like I started kind of maybe a hair before that. And it was kind of funny. I wasn't really kind of into it, because I was always skinny, and I was underdeveloped as a hard gainer, and so I'm out screwing around, fishing and goofing off. I always thought being strong would be really cool, but I just didn't know. Like, you train and you're like, I didn't get anywhere. This sucks. You know?
Yeah.
And so Pops was actually pretty smart. It's kind of weird and embarrassing. He was like, all right. Because I said, well, you know, Christmas is coming up. I want to be able to like buy Christmas presents, and I didn't have a job. He's like, all right, I'll give you $5 a workout for every time you train. And he goes, and that's how you're going to buy Christmas presents this year.
Brilliant.
And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And so then that was my job. That became my job. And you think about it, he was paying me about $2 an hour.
Good wage, though.
But he was like, I realized I was investing in laying the groundwork. If I made it advantageous for you to do it, eventually you would realize, like,
there's value.
This is money in the bank. And I was able to like buy Christmas presents. And after that, I was like, hey, I don't need the money anymore. And I just want to kind of keep doing this.
Yeah, you see that what you have to do is see that first big, like, improvement, anything.
Yeah.
My bench went up. My chest got bigger. I gained weight. Like, you just got to see that first little bit. Now you're hooked. It's like a drug.
Yeah.
The minute you see it, you're like, oh, so if I do this
And at
happens.
that age, the confidence.
Oh, yeah.
When you walk into school and you're just a little bit stronger, and we step on the field, or you throw a little bit further, everybody, you go, oh, there's something to this.
Like, I really started doing barbell lifts when I was like was sophomore in high school, and I put on like 20 pounds between sophomore and junior year, and it like totally radically changed my life. Like, was there a point for you like that, where you put on a bunch of weight and a bunch of strength quickly, and you were like, oh yeah, this is really where I want to go?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was kind of like a late bloomer, a very late bloomer. So like I was barely in puberty when I got to college. Like, I mean, I was 172 pounds at 6'2", in college, but I was still 17, so I was young. So I had some decent numbers. I'd competed in some powerlifting. I'd done it, but it was never like I had that just, I'm rip roaring, you know? But then I put 30 pounds on my first semester in college because like everything clicked. I got into good training system.
I told them about your old thing at South. Tell them that story that leads in, that you know, that you accidentally ended up on the track team.
Yeah. So I was kind of a skinny dude. You know, I enjoyed lifting, but I wasn't particularly good at it. I had a couple, you know, I was like close to 400-pound deadlifter at 172, 250 clean. Like I was pretty good at those things, but I sucked at everything else.
I love that you say that's like low numbers, because as a freshman or sophomore in high school, or in college, that's really good numbers.
400-pound deadlift.
Most people aren't cleaning. Most people are,
especially if you're 6'2", 270 pounds. That's pretty good, really.
But I watched Pops like back in the day.
Totally.
Like, I mean, literally.
Your bar's too high.
I remember seeing this 40-year-old man doing high pulls with 450. And like this was like an everyday occurrence. You're like, well, Pops is doing some enormous amount of.
At least have to clean 250.
Yeah.
But it's also like the culture of Mash Elite.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
It's like they're like, I'm going to at least clean 400 pounds.
That's
because everyone does.
Because that's considered good.
That gets you in the door.
Yeah.
And like, if you don't get to 400, you didn't even open the door.
I love that you're the old man that comes walking back. They're like, oh fuck, here he comes. He's gonna front squat this and make me look bad. It's like 500 pounds on the bar.
Speaking of a walking back story, so this was 10, 12 years ago, and I'd never seen Pops back off of any lift. Like he's going to generally always get it.
Yeah.
And he was probably 62 at the time, maybe. And, you know, he'd already had cancer surgery. And he was a 62-year-old man. And he was lifting. Instead of wearing wrist wraps, he would always tape his wrist. He still does it because it's old time, right? And I remember we're in the gym, and I was always trying to kind of like pump the brakes on him because he would just pull stuff and rip stuff because he's a big, tall guy, right, and old. And so I can't remember what it was. It was high fours, maybe 500. It was a good deadlift, and he was, you know, lifting all day, and he was just, you could tell he's getting like pissed off because it just wasn't happening. And finally, like he went to pull, couldn't get it, and dropped it, and you just see his shoulders slump, and he took his tape off, and he just sat in his desk for a while, and you see almost like kind of tearing up, and I was like, "You all right?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "That's the first time I've ever quit," and I'm like, wow. And I was like, you know, Pops, seriously, don't tear a hamstring. Like, be smart. And I'm trying to like soften it.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And he just, like, you could tell he was like, his world had just crashed.
Yeah.
And so he walked outside. It was about 8 o'clock at night, and we're all just finishing lifting. And we see his Hummer starts up, it pulls out, and all of us look at each other. We're like, "Son of a bitch, he actually left." We're like, and Josh,
I got a feeling there's more to
Josh who left. Josh, who was working out, he's like, "Man, Pops is smartening up. He didn't hurt himself." And we saw the light stop, and we're like, "Oh shit!"
Here he comes.
And it just stopped, and it just sat there for about 30 seconds. The parking lot was like slow motion. We're like, "This is not happening."
It's happening.
Vroom, goes in. Truck does not turn off. He gets out, walks in, goes. Boom! Doesn't say a word to anyone, walks out the door and drives away.
Really, like, what he did was like this to you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I'm not dead yet.
And to himself, like, no, this isn't how this goes. And he's just like,
doesn't he? There's like a 500-pound deadlift that goes down every year at Summer Strong.
Yeah. So he did 49 straight years. He deadlifted 500 pounds.
My Lord.
Yeah.
He made it from 14 to 64, or 14 to, I can't remember, it was 14 or 15 to 65.
Yeah.
And the 65th year, or the 65 would have been 50 years. And he was taking, the Aleve, and he got a stomach bleed, and his hemoglobin super dropped, like to the point where he's like almost passing out all the time, and he didn't know what was wrong. So this was like a little bit before Summer Strong one year, and he was training up to do the 500, and then like that day they were like, "Don't lift," and of course he was going to.
Yeah.
And and then he was like, well, he kind of looked and he's like, "Bert, I don't think I could do it. Like, I don't think I have it in me." And I was like, "Well, I understand." I was like, "Well, you know," he goes, "But." He looked it up. He goes, "Well, what was the heaviest in my age group deadlifted at nationals this year?" And it was like 461. He's like, "Put 462 on it." And so he hit it. Yeah. And then I told him, I was like, "Well, a Soren male has to pull 500. We have to keep this going." I said, "Would you mind if I did it?" And he's like, "Go ahead."
Now you got the next 40 years ahead of you.
That would make it cool with me.
Yeah.
If one of my boys said that, I'm like, yeah, I can bow out now.
Yeah, so that was kind of thing. That's when we kind of changed over. And then I hit a PR that day, strangely enough, I hadn't trained for it, but it was like, it was just jacked. And then the next year I hit 600, and then I kind of kept rolling. And then kind of the goal was my lofty goal, which I'd love a Soren male to be able to deadlift 500 for a century.
Yeah, just keep it going forever.
Yeah.
For us, that'd be awesome. How would you have to be? How
I was like, boys, grow up. Come on, man.
Right.
I'm getting old.
Yeah.
I would think I could do it for another 10 years or so. And then
they'd have to
then
carry
my
on.
kids will be like 18. And,
Lightweight at that
we'll
point.
be fine at that point.
For a Soren. Yeah.
Well, my son's wired for sound. He's one of those kids.
Yeah.
But no, so it's been fun just watching that kind of intensity and that kind of, you hate to say, like, it's a pride. It's an ego. Yeah, lifting is an ego thing. There is a
100%
image that he and a lot of us, and everyone standing here, hold themselves accountable to.
Yeah.
And that could sometimes be a weakness, but
I think those numbers too are like so important to, in general, like just my existence. Like I always want to be able to get fired up and clean 300 pounds.
Yes.
Like if I can't, I assumed that once I stopped competing and that being the driving focus, that it would just go away.
Yeah.
And then it didn't. And then I was like, well, shit, how long can I keep this just going?
Yeah.
How long can I squat 315 for X? How long can I keep those numbers going?
In my brain.
Yeah.
I'm going to always front squat 400, deadlift 500, bench 300, clean 300. Always.
Yeah.
Those are
Snatch
pretty
225.
solid numbers.
If I can snatch, I want to know how long I'm going to be able to snatch 225 for.
Forever.
Like,
How old are you now?
37.
37?
Yeah.
I did it probably the last time I was 41, 42. I haven't tried it since. I have a feeling I probably can't. I probably need to train up to it again.
Yeah. I just see Hunter Elam in the room.
And then that was it. I was 42 years old, and I did what's it called, a super total meet. And I was 42.
Yeah.
And I snatched 300 pounds.
Jeez.
So jerk 400 pounds at 42.
Good
Wait,
Lord.
how old were you when you pulled 7 at
42. It was the same era. No, it wasn't the same day, but that was the same era. It was 2015, and I was still crushing.
But those numbers like super matter in just keeping you accountable to the day-to-day grind of it, because I think people really struggle and they fall off the wagon because they like don't see the results, or they don't. And to me, the longevity game is like, there's a standard that I live my life by.
That's right.
And it just happens to be that I snatch 2 1/4, or I clean 300, or I squat this, whatever those numbers are. And you go, well, if I fall below that, I know I'm out of shape.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then I really have to like look in the mirror and be like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, because it's feasible.
Yeah, and if you do it every year, or you have this just, you're around all your bros and we're gonna max out today just because it's fun. Like all those things, you have to be in shape.
Yes.
Totally.
There's no like off season, in season. It's like, oh, we're just all together. Today we're going after it. And if you're not ready that day, well,
I saw Matt Weniger
standard
missed
sucks. 400
on front squat, and then I was joking with him. I'm like, how can you not? Just front squat 400. He said, can you still do it, old man? And so I'm like, immediately, I front squat it. I said, Matty, I could be dead in the casket. I'll get up and front squat 400 one more time. Like that, you can bank your bottom dollar on.
And whether that's a good idea or not,
probably not.
But the key of the real. The crazy ones have that in there. They're like, you'll have to kill me before I won't do that.
There's no way I will never front squat.
There's no way
that day that
happen.
Hunter, we were snatching at Mash Elite, and Hunter was there, and I missed like 185, and I was like, how the fuck did I just do that?
You're in the wrong gym.
I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah.
But then I snatched 232, and I was like, thank God. I looked at Doug. I was like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
I am way out of my league right now. That girl snatches as much as I do.
220. Yeah. You got a girl.
Right? Yeah.
Snatches 220, and she's super pretty.
She looked back, and she was like, well, that's my opener. And I was like, shit, I'm going to have to show up today. I'm not prepared for this.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that. I was talking to Jocko Willink about a week ago, and we were talking about different lifting.
I love him, by the way.
Jocko's fantastic.
I love his his codes, and it's awesome.
And we were talking. I said, well, what kind of lifting you're doing right now? He's like, well, I still snatch and I clean and I this and I that. And he's 49 years old, and as a teams guy, he's pretty jacked up usually.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was like, how about you? I was like, well, I haven't done like cleans in a minute, and we got talking. He goes, yeah, I just refuse to submit a lift. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, and what I do a lot of times is if I can't do it at that level, it's like I'll either work around it or do something else that I could do. He's like, yeah, he goes, but I've realized, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, if I submit and don't, say if it snatches hurt my shoulder. He goes, but when I stop doing snatches, one day I will not be able to do snatches.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know that I'm just submitting that lift potentially forever if I stop doing it. He goes, I don't care if I have to do it with a bar. I'm still snatching. I have a chance. I could come back. He goes, but when I stop doing it, one day I won't be able to do it.
Okay, I'm snatching. Like today.
Today we're doing it.
Yeah, that just like, he's right. He's right.
And it hit me and convicted me, and I'm like, man, I probably haven't snatched in a few years because it's like, I don't need to. I'm not throwing anymore. I'm not doing this. And then you go, I haven't done as much weight as you, but I've done a lot. And you're like, I'm never going to do that much again. So
why do it?
Why do it? And the shoulder's a little inky, and maybe I'll just do this instead. And I'm like, son of a bitch, one day I'll go to do it, and I won't be able to do it because I'm not doing it.
That just freaked me out. For sure, I'm snatching.
I mean, it hit me in here, and it was just like, what things have I already submitted that I don't even know I've submitted?
Dude, the worst thing, I had when I got my, I had a hip replacement, and they told me, okay, you can do some things, but you're probably not going to squat or clean ever again.
Right.
Immediately, I'm like starting my plan. That just guaranteed. And then 20 weeks later, I front squatted 506 after my hip surgery.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't. The thing of telling me I can't do the thing I've done my whole life. Yeah. They don't know what you're saying to me. Right. It's like, you can't tell me I can't do this thing that I don't know what else do I do. Who am I if I can't clean or front squat?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. And that's something that, as lifters and as just people, we all have to look at the reality of.
I know.
And I know we've talked about it. But there's also kind of that nice holding yourself accountable, maybe even for silly reasons that probably keep you. I mean, there's no reason that a 70-year-old Richard Sorens should still be in here deadlifting.
Well, if you do it every day,
because that's what he does.
That's what he does.
If you have to do it tomorrow, you got to show up.
Yeah,
that's it. And that's what we talk about, like, live the code. You're like, you shouldn't have to train up for everything.
Yeah.
Like, I train up every once or twice a year, what I call to touch the curtain. Like, I'm going to get up there and hit that rarefied air again, but I don't have to live there. But I have to live the code enough where I'm always in striking distance.
That can get there. That's exactly right.
I'm within 6 to 8 weeks of kind of wherever I want to be.
Me too.
But my body can't handle living there.
Yeah.
No.
Are you referencing a specific code right now?
We just talk about it here, like if someone's doing the hard stuff, if they're being consistent, if they're making the hard decisions, and we just call it like, it's kind of like he lives the code. Whether, and it kind of goes back to, if you know it, you know that you're living the code kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, maybe I would love to define it with you guys, like what is that? But when someone's doing it.
It's a sickness almost. It's a sickness, like it's just... There's a thing that you do.
Or a value. You value it high enough. Like, I value doing the strenuous life, hard stuff enough where I will continue to live that code as long as I'm feasibly.
I actually feel like the culture of what... So, even panning out a little bit more, something that I've always been impressed with Sorinex is, like, I came from the CrossFit space.
Sure.
Like, I had 10 years of strength training before that, but it was always for sports, and then CrossFit became the sport.
Of course.
And where the company was at that time, I assume it probably would have been the very sexy, easy decision to just go all in on that.
Of course.
And when I think about where you guys are at right now and the vibe and the culture, it's purely Sorinex. And you guys have thrived by staying in your own lane and really doubling down on whatever that culture feels like to you.
Strong,
and
cool.
And it's been very impressive to watch because it's so simple to look at those flashy things that probably don't align, but you were like, man, that's a great business opportunity in 2012.
Oh, you're printing money in 2012.
And I feel like now you guys, because of doubling down on that culture, which I'd love to hear just kind of like what it means to you.
Yeah.
You guys have really just carved out your own space, and it's really cool from a business perspective, and just kind of knowing how hard that must have been at that time to really go all in on yourself.
It's very insightful that you see that, because sometimes even not everyone here always saw it, because when CrossFit first kicked off, I mean, Glassman had us in the Article 1 first issue of where to get equipment before there were any CrossFit companies out there.
That was where I found out.
Yeah, it was like, hey, Sorinex, because
the journal.
And the Glassman used to call me. He's like, hey, you got my credit card. I need another glute ham. I'm like, yeah, man, got you. And he's like, hey, are you doing Fran? I'm like, nah, man, I'm trying to throw weight really far. Sounds cool, though. See ya.
Not at all. Yeah. It's me.
But then I think we were at the first or second CrossFit Games at Dave's Ranch, and we brought the first rig system that really was every CrossFit rig was based upon.
No way. You guys were first in that? I didn't know that.
I drew that on a napkin.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
I'd love to see that napkin.
Well, the idea,
it's in the museum over there.
The idea was, well, because you were there at CrossFit, because everyone was welding all these rigs to like their places, and there's like this giant monolithic piece of whatever. And then, of course, with a CrossFit model, if you're doing it well, you have to move. You have to expand.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, we got this guy down the street to weld up this thing.
We had a plumber.
Correct.
Come in and put plumbing pipe together.
You got it.
And then we bolted it to the studs. And
then
it was dangerous.
And dangerous as crap. And then when you went to move, you had to scrap it or whatever. Yeah. And I got thinking one day.
This is a great story.
I was actually hanging out. And I was having a couple of drinks with the girl I was dating at the time, and I was like, they're missing this whole thing. I was like, they're all missing it. They're making these custom deals. It's like you make something that's replicatable, customizable by the customer. You could ship it to them on a pallet. And I was like, and stop making the damn uprights 8 feet apart, make them 4 feet apart, put holes in all 4 sides, and there's your squat stands.
Boom.
And I literally just drew it up on a napkin. I was like, this will change the industry. And she was like, not in the lifting. She's like, that's cool. I'll have a Mai Tai. Like, she had no idea what we were talking about.
She's like, let's go get naked.
I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. So kind of designed that. And the idea initially was to help the burgeoning CrossFit world, because I saw it was like every gym was this big in their garage, and then they had to make it bigger, and then they got a little warehouse, and if they were successful, they got their second and third and fourth warehouses, and then I was seeing them already start to break up, and then their partners would break up, and then they would, and so I was like, and then the war was kicking off hard, and we were getting people calling us all the time wanting racks. I'm like, well, it's hard to send over a bunch of racks, especially say if it's this special operations command, and then they have to deploy somewhere else. I was like, if we have a product that could break up, and these guys could say, I'm taking these 10 uprights and these 20 crossbars, and we're out, and these guys could take it and they're out, and they could start deploying all over the world. That was what it was designed for. Actually, the first rig was made in olive drab, heat resistant paint, because I knew I was putting them in the desert. So that's what we were putting them tan, the first one. So if you look at the CrossFit 2 games 2008, the ones at Dave's place, we set up the first rig ever, and they were black, tan, and green. And the funny part was people would show up and they would look around, they go, sweet pull-up rig. I'm like, yeah, it's actually, you could squat off there. Like, do y'all make squat stands? I'm like,
no, it's a J-clip. You just put it in.
So there's a J-clip. They're like, cool, pull-up rig. Do y'all make squat stands? And I'm like, oh, man, I feel like I was on The Simpsons. Where he's like, all right, mister. And I was just like, But there were a few people early on that just, like, got it. It was like Tony Blauer and a couple guys like that were like, right away, they're like, holy crap, what's that? And I was like, well, it kind of customizable gym, and it comes in a pallet, and you do whatever you want with it. And we had jump boxes built into it, dip bars built into it, and that was the predecessor, really.
Back then, you had all that?
Yeah, first iteration had that.
Dude, you guys are okay. That's awesome. So, I didn't know this. I did not know this.
I still have some old video, like kids walking around. And then the next part of it was, I was like, well, you know, because Pops and myself were both physical education teachers, like that's our degree. So it was like, how do you keep people moving?
Yeah.
So I said, well, if we make something that could be used in a CrossFit gym, military, home gym, but you could also turn them into jungle gym type things for kids to start moving and get early movement pattern stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a quadruple value option piece.
No doubt.
And you know, but that's a perfect business example of, if you don't have a marketing team and you have a small sales group and your business isn't set up for that, because we were still doing most stuff with colleges, pro teams, whatever. So we were deep invested in this world, and this new world of CrossFit, and the individuals were coming up. And so we just didn't really have a way to service those people. I mean, they'd call us, we're like, yeah, sure, we'll get you one, but like,
a long time from now.
A long time, right?
And you're probably messing with, or those people that are calling are like, well, I've got $30,000. What do I do? And you're like looking at an NFL team.
Or
that's
like $1,000.
Exactly.
Or $1,000.
Here's this rack in the bar.
Yeah. Are they like $200? No.
Yeah. No, and we started getting frustrated because it's like, all right, everyone keeps asking for cheap stuff, and you know,
that's
and
just
then,
not who you guys are.
Yeah.
No, it's not, and we were trying to be best in class. So like that product, although it shifted the way training was done, it was still like almost not really seated for us.
Yeah.
Really. And then of course we pushed it into like racks and rigs and stuff like that. That was in the college. That kind of rewrote how that worked. But early on, we were a sponsor of the CrossFit Games back then, and kind of, you know, Castro at the farm. The first one he ever had was a Sorinex one, and that was before other companies that did that stuff later were even really rolling.
Then it became Rogan, Muscle Driver.
Yeah, and then those guys they doubled down into that community and they started throwing money into it, and of course that's how that goes. Which is fine. That's the business model, and that's what it is. And we said, well, we're into the high performance world of this. This is where we've been. If these folks want to purchase from us, awesome, we'll help them out.
But it's going to be great stuff.
And this is what we're going to do. And then you saw some Chinese companies start popping up early on, and I remember having a conversation with Dave.
Who was that?
They had a company called Garage Gym.
What? I remember that.
I remember that?
Yeah.
It has like the 2 G's. It was, and I kind of got I got a little pissy about it because, I talked to a couple of the folks there, and I said, hey, man, kind of an ass move.
Hindsight.
I'll just say it was. I just told him, because I think CrossFit was, they were kind of like pumping it a little bit, like, hey, you should buy from Garage Gym. And, and Dave, I like Dave, but I was like, dude, you're a SEAL, right? And he was like, yeah. I was like, you're buying AK bullets with that shit from China. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, it's an economic war we're in, regardless if you believe it or not. And economy, I said, I'm trying to make stuff in the U.S., and you guys are pushing something that's made in China. I said that's made with inferior engineering, inferior everything. And I said,
and taking advantage of people.
Advantage of people. I said, we're naming these hero wads on this patriotic stuff
and doing something different.
I said, I find it disingenuous whether you meant it or not.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels weird to me. It feels weird that, like, we're trying to be pro-America, yay, and we're pushing a brand that's coming out that's just copying stuff and getting cheap crap to people. I said, I'd prefer not to play. Like, I'm going to go do my thing.
So that was
making
that where you split from them?
No, I mean, we were still, like, friendly, whatever, but that's when other people started jumping in the mix. And it was, and again, I have nothing bad to say about any of those guys, but it just is. It's when business goes and you start seeing
as a business, you have to say this is what we stand for.
It's what we stand for. Or even as another business grows, sometimes there's oversight that you just don't think.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wow, yeah, y'all want to help out? Cool, sponsor, they're cool. And then you start seeing some of the origins of what that stuff might mean, and it's like, maybe we kind of took a hard ride on that one. But I'm never going to tell someone, like, you can't do things. I'll just generally say, this is my perception of it.
Yeah.
Do what you like.
Yeah.
So I feel like long term, you guys won that battle.
I don't know.
As of right this second,
I mean,
CrossFit is like, I mean, it's still a thing, but like it's nothing like it used to. And you guys are in that sector that's always going to be there. Strength conditioning.
I think so, and that was even what Pops was saying too back in the day. Because people were like, y'all got to get double to triple down the CrossFit, and we would have made money hand over fist. And there's
I remember thinking they
certainly did it and made money. Maybe hindsight, it would have been great.
I don't think so. Not now. I think you guys.
But the other thing, Pops goes, listen, I've been in this a long time. I've seen every fad come and go. And he says, and some are better than others and whatever. He goes, if we stick to quality and strength in the community,
it will always be there.
Yeah.
That will always be something because it's always worked. And we're like, good, stay in our lane.
Do you think if you had gone into the CrossFit space, you saw the market was growing, there's a lot of potential there, especially financially, that at this point in the game, 2021, you'd be kind of like, just not as into it, not as passionate because this is not the world you wanted to live in?
I think there's a possibility of that. I think that would have been a tough slippery slope. That's a wonderful question. I think two things would have happened. We would have had to grow so much to help to fulfill the need. I think our brand DNA would have been diluted too much. Mm-hmm. I think I
do too.
If what we core believed in spreads out among 1,000 people and you can't grow that within the group, I think after a while it's going to be kind of like the IKEA model. Like you could get some good furniture there, the customer experience is decent, but who's Mr. IKEA?
Yeah.
I
mean, it would, as a strength conditioning coach, like if you would have gone all in with CrossFit, I probably would not. If I were at the Carolina Panthers, I'm not going to put you in my gym.
Yeah. And we honestly heard that. We heard that, and guys would go, "Oh, that's just CrossFit stuff." And it's again nothing against CrossFit.
Yeah.
CrossFit it's good for CrossFit.
The only reason I even brought it up was because I come from that world, and in watching, and owning a gym in it, everything seems so easy at that stage of it, and now you're on the other side of it where you've really cemented yourself as having that culture, the DNA we've talked about a couple times, and without kind of not. By taking the harder route and not going and servicing that, you have to really as we said, double down on who you are and that culture. I guess how do you kind of view the culture of Sorinex and instill that into the employees and into the equipment?
I know what I think. I want to know what it is.
Especially from a hiring perspective, like how you choose people.
Well, I think kind of to your point, I think maybe a strength and probably a strength and sometimes an initial weakness for Dad and I both. We're both into things that take a long freaking time to be good at. And so the long money is kind of built into us.
Yeah.
You know, a smart business move would have been quadrupling down on CrossFit.
Yeah.
Doing it for 8 years, riding the wave, checking
Sell
out
the company,
selling it out, buying my fourth beach house, and then having a gym for free.
Yeah.
That would have been the smart business move. I'm not a smart business person. So,
I mean,
that means you have a family business still that is doing very well.
Yeah, and so, but like whether it's been bow hunting or hammer throwing or lifting or whatever, it generally all the stuff that I'm good at is because I've done it longer than most people.
Yeah.
Generally, that's kind of how it works.
Completely agree with all of that.
You know, it's just because like, you gave up after 3 years and I've done it for 20. I'm going to be better just because I'm still doing it.
You died off.
It's a marathon. It's definitely not a sprint.
But if you love it, what else will we do?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the thing.
That's the scary thing.
That's a whole podcast.
That's the thing, right? Like,
all I have left is dying.
If the goal was to make $1 bazillion and sell it off and ride in the sunset, like, no, okay, if we started a refrigeration company, I don't give a shit about refrigeration.
Yeah.
Make a bunch of money, let me go do what I want to do. Just so happens this is what I want to do. So then you build a sustainable, profitable business model that lasts a long time versus something that does this.
Yeah.
Now, could we have made better business decisions at times? Yes. Fine. So keeping that brand DNA is super important. And the DNA of like a guy that'll drive away and turn his car back and come back. And that doesn't mean just from a deadlifting standpoint. That means anything. That means on an install. That means on a delivery. That means on whatever needs to be done. That's just like, I mean, some guys we've had have done some amazing things over the years. You know, we had an install that was everything could go wrong on it because you have 30 racks going into an abandoned and refurbished train station at a university.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to go train there today.
With 35 columns. And it's just like the worst case scenario you could get into. And it was a 30 straight hour delivery. No one slept. No one complained.
Yeah.
It was just,
it's what you do.
The ribbon cutting is this time. We're going to stay here until we're done.
That's just awesome.
And like, didn't have to tell the guys. They knew what was on the line. That DNA is the stuff that a business model doesn't work because you're like, hey, you're going to wear out your guys. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. You better pay overtime. It's like, that is how this goes. You know, and so that kind of stuff, finding those people, and you don't find them by putting out resumes.
No. I saw your employees. Tex, I've known him forever.
Yeah, sure.
Brendan Lilly.
Yeah.
You get that because you hire people who like love it like you do.
Who follow this, have the same DNA. So those just become people in your life that you just go, man, you know, I've hung out or trained with this person I've trained with Tex for years and years and years.
I've known him since I was a powerlifter.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you go, I know what he's about. People go, let me send you a resume. I go, if you got to send me a resume, don't even send it.
I don't know you. It's too late.
Yeah. Your resume is your last 10 years. I know who you are.
Yeah.
You just that's it. Let's talk about how this might work in real life. And that's really a lot of our people that worked here have either been clients. They've either been just people that have hung out and done stuff with us. And like as a group, we're like, hey, did you see so-and-so the other day? He came in, man, I really like that dude. And then a year later, it's, man, did you see? Hey, I think he just got laid off of so and so. Like, yeah, man, when he was here last month, and like, call him and see what he's up to.
Yeah, I had such an awesome. My wife said this, and we moved to North Carolina from San Diego, and like, I would sit down with her and be like, babe, I just don't want to have friends. It's like too hard for me to have friends. Like I like what I like, and what I like is just not what normal people like, and I don't really want to put the time into having friends and all that, and it's too cumbersome for me to worry about other people's expectations, and like it's so stressful to think that I have to go on a double date with this other couple, and all I want to talk about is weightlifting, and they don't even know they're doing like fitness stuff. Like it's not for me. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, just think about all the people that I actually enjoy being around. And she goes, oh, you either train or start businesses with them that involve training. And I was like, yeah, I'm so uninterested in everything else that I only want to be around those people. And then they become hireable, and then become a podcast host with us, and then they become best friends. And it's like, I don't know how to just go be someone's friend. Right. I'm like, oh, you do this? You make this better? Let's go.
So your brand, you see it the same way. Your brand DNA and your expectation for that brand DNA you can't get diluted.
Yeah.
No. And so I won't let people in my circle that are going to dilute that. Now, they may shift, and that's kind of a weird way to put it. So their brand DNA might be for a different thing, but the guts of it are the same.
Sure.
Like a really good friends with Zach Brown, the singer. He is so
just downloaded so much rad stuff from him.
Cool.
He's so deep water into things he's into. He just happens to be really good at music.
Yeah.
That's like one of 10 things he's super into. So we geek out about, like, we're super into some of the same stuff, and we're like the nerds are like deep water rabbit hole guys. We don't talk training. We don't train together, but we both enjoy life to the same extent. Yeah. So now we're in each other's circles, and that becomes what I mean about the strong brand DNA.
Totally.
I don't want to go out and talk about the weather.
And there's something
Let's go talk about like what we're super passionate about, and then we'll probably work together.
There's something about strength training too, where you have to be that person.
Yes.
Because if you're going to deadlift 500 pounds, you have to think out there. And you can't play in the middle.
No.
So, like, cool, you like working out. Rad. But there's a different person that deadlifts 500 pounds.
And really it boils down to, two things. Like, I kind of always laugh, like, when I realize I'm, like, a fringe guy or kind of outside or whatever, I go, and not that I'm, like, want people to, like, write a book about it. Like, they don't write books or make movies about normal people.
Yeah.
The people that like the normal shit, that ain't who they talk about. That's not who changes the world. That's not...
I have no interest in normal.
Yeah, and or kind of mediocre. Like, mediocre sounds like the worst thing of all time.
That's death to me. That's right. That's death. My mom, I love her. She's a great mom, and she made me a lot. But she would she would say, "Be realistic." I'd say, "Mom, I want to live in the fitness world, and that's all I want to do." And she'd be like, "You need to get a real job," And now she's like, "I'm glad you didn't listen to me." But like, I had no interest in doing what everyone. She's like, "Look at your uncles. You should do what they do." Oh, you're saying I should like get a job and stay in the mountains like everybody else and not do anything? I'm like, that's death. I would die. Yeah. I would shoot myself. I just can't do that.
We talk about the thin air. So another one of the kind of terms we use here is thin air. And that's what that means is if everyone, and again, I don't mean this disrespectful to people just doing the normal stuff, but
nor do I. Yeah.
But if everyone's doing the stuff down here, then you go a little bit higher and there's base camp, and then you go to the top of the mountain and there's this rarefied thin air that very few people even want to get to, much less can get to. But what you start realizing is there's actually less competition up there.
Totally.
And the people who are up there, generally you're like, hey, that's rad. You're up here too.
Yeah.
Like, and that doesn't mean economically. It means just like it could be lifting, it could be mindset, it could be whatever. It's like, are you breathing that thin air, like that stuff that maybe most people are afraid to go to?
That's so brilliant.
And that's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I look for thin air people. Are you that guy that's going to go so deep water into that? That's what we use for Sorinex Outdoors. It's thin air and deep water. They mean the same thing.
At the World Championships, I know things changed for me when all of a sudden, instead of me like going in there and being super like intense and wanting to win, even though I wanted to win,
of course.
But when I realized I'm at this elite group of people, and we all love the exact same thing.
You're breathing the same thing.
And then things changed. And then I was hanging out with my friends.
Yep.
I just happened to be breaking world records and lifting a little bit more than them. To say that, but
because you're competitive,
but they're my boys. But Chuck Vogelpool's over here, Louis Simmons is over there, Dave Tate's over here, and like, this is great. And when I realized I'm just hanging out with my friends, I'm not at World Championships, kind of maybe, but then things changed, and there's just a few of us up there.
When you walk in, and you're just shaking hands with the people. Like, oh, great to see you. Instead of like, oh, look over them. Look at who's that?
Yeah.
Who's that? How you fit?
Oh, you're so right. When I could see Ed Cohn and he gives me a hug, I knew at that moment, like,
super cool.
Inside, I'm crying, but I'm not letting him see it. But like, I'm like a little kid because he, like, even today, like, it's so weird. Even though like I was super competitive with Ed Cohn, but like he's still my idol. And like even today, when I see him, I'm shaking. I try not to let him see it, but like inside me, I'm like, the first time I saw Ed Cohn, I had to walk out of the room because I threw up. This is a true story. I walk into weigh-ins. It was my first. It was when the WPO first started.
Yeah.
We're in Orlando, and I walk into weigh-ins, and he's right there, and I went and threw up everywhere. Then I go to eat that night, and I see Chuck Vogelpool, Jesse Kellum, Ed Cohn. I throw up again. Like, I was just so like.
Well, wasn't that so freaking cool?
Damn right, it was cool. It was like, I was there. I was there.
You made it.
I remember like my first nationals or Olympic trials. Like I walk around, I'm like, oh my gosh, and all these, and I remember going, I get to be on the same bus, the same room, the same, and I go, and it was like that light bulb moment. I'm like, I'm breathing their air.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of here, kinda. There's still a lot of work to go, but like. I'm on the ship now.
Yeah.
And, like, to me, that was always so exciting.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
That was the, like, I get to be in this fight now.
It was more exciting than getting to the, once you win,
who cares?
It's not as fun.
No.
It's on that way, and you're in that group, and you're like,
and winning against a bunch of people that aren't that good, like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather get my ass kicked by the best in the world.
Absolutely. I want to be in the room with the best. And hang out and learn and listen and talk and
That's the voyage.
share, how did you, when you growing up, what was it like? What caused you to be like this?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what caused me, like getting to know those people, and we soon find out we're all exactly the same.
Right,
Something causes you to be like
Something
that.
caused you to be a thin air individual.
Yeah.
And it's just because your normal people don't get that. There has to almost kind of be a damage or something. Like there's a wound that happens that makes someone go, "Crick, I'm going to climb this mountain." Or what, like Alex Arnold with
he's nuts.
He's nuts.
He's the nuts of the nuts.
Right. But he's
something,
put that into,
cool.
channeled it into something that no human should ever attempt.
For sure.
And you go, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Bro,
I'm not going to go climb a mountain.
The other day, Hunter Elam, she texted me out of the blue, and she's like, she starts asking me about Maddie Sasser, who's an Olympian, she's the top American girl in the 64 kilogram weight class. And so Hunter's like, what makes her so good? And I'm like, she's fast. She said, do you think she's better than me? I'm like, no, you're stronger. You have better timing. She said, why is she beating me? I was like, because she doesn't have any other option. Because when she grew up, her mother tried to kill her.
Oh my gosh.
She has nothing to go back to. Like, your parents are loaded. You can like go to school. You can go you could just go home and live with your parents. She does not have another option, and that's what makes her right now
for sure
unbeatable. And so until in your brain you say I have no other option, she will beat you. And
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I've always heard as well. Who was a Russian coach I was talking to? Is either I can't remember. I think it's for Olympic weightlifting. It might have been for hammer throwing, but the context was our country is doing well, which is bad for the event but good for the country. Meaning, meaning like really Olympic weightlifting and hammer throwing and stuff like that takes a really long time to do, doesn't pay well, and is really hard. Doesn't really go great in countries with a lot of money. People always like, we need more money for this. Like, no, you don't. You kind of need it to be the only option.
Yeah.
You need to be like that or the sulfur
There
mines.
needs to be one spot for the best person.
Yeah.
And then we'll find the guy that wants to get
you're
there.
going to be the sulfur mines or you're going to clean and jerk 250K.
Yeah.
On it.
As soon as I put myself in, like, you don't have another option.
Yeah.
If you go home, you failed. Your mom was right. And all these people were correct. And when I made that decision, like, damn that's not an option.
Yeah.
Then I was going to win, and I did. But people have to, if you really want to be great, truly great, you want to be the tip top, eventually you got to say, I do not have another option.
Yes.
I'm either doing that or nothing.
This is the option.
That's the option.
Yeah.
I'd love to dig in. I mean, we're clearly here, and the equipment's gorgeous and everything's set up. I'd love to dig into just kind of like what the processes look of actually how long it takes from you on a napkin to actually building the first rack and then all of this other stuff. Like what do kind of those systems look like? And the engineer, I mean, I just like picking up weights and talking about it. You like designing stuff. It's a whole different process.
Playground.
It goes back to Pop's always telling me, look at something for not what it is, but what it can be. And he was kind of like
He's so full of these analogies. He's going to write it down.
He was like always he would take rando crap around our house and like turn it into something, or would tinker with everything was like whatever the store-bought version of it was, he would always adjust it to make it better. And so that was always kind of the mindset was like, this is a really cool bottle, but really if it had and I'm just making this up, if it had a X, Y, and Z, it would be better. And that was kind of the mindset that I just kind of developed. And everything you look at, just you win in your mind if you can make it better.
Yeah.
And then when you have the capacity to make it better in physical terms, and that's really how Sorinex started. He was like, lifting equipment is good, but he was a big, tall, strong person. He was lifting by himself. He was like, I can make it stronger. I can make it more adjustable. I can make it safer. I can make it look cooler.
Yeah.
And he had an ability to build. So he's like, well, I'm just going to do it the way I would do it.
Yeah.
Because there's no one out there doing it. And
was he an engineer, or he just knew?
He was just a guy. He took a lot of stuff early on. He was going to be a machinist and engineer, like kind of shop kind of person. But he took all those courses early on, and then it just turned out that he could throw a discus far. And so they're like, well, why don't you come to college? He's like, that wasn't even really an option. And they're like, well, you're strong. You can throw a discus about 200 feet, so you pick. And he's like. Oh, and he told me later, he goes, I thought college was kind of like summer camp because I never really...
It was. It totally was.
Really was.
Just in the winter.
Yeah, he was like, I just...
You ever been to an SC football game? Of course it's summer camp. That was a rude awakening when I got there.
Man. And that was the thing. He's like, I was always planning on working a machine shop, and then they told me they're going to take me to this college place as long as I threw the discus, and he's like, cool, that sounds fun.
And, this college, as long as I can throw this little disc thing.
Yeah. And he's like, I never really loved discus. I was just stronger than everyone because I loved weightlifting. He goes, I loved weightlifting, thus it made a discus go far that people seem to like.
No kidding.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
But in 1968, a kid that trained by himself, that was not obvious.
No.
And
he's
then
one in a million back then.
Yeah, so he came down and brought the first set of weights down here to South Carolina when he was an athlete. They didn't have a weight room.
Are you kidding me?
So he borrowed a car and drove back up to Jersey and brought all of his plates down. And he was like, "Can I have a place to lift?" And because he was highly recruited, they're like, "Yeah, you could take a spot." They gave him a room, and he built wooden racks to train. So, and arguably, he was the first strength coach ever at South Carolina as a freshman.
When was this?
1968.
Could you say that is he the first strength coach of all time then?
I feel like Boyle was like super close to
Boyd and Al.
He has a very similar story.
I don't know if he was in the 60s, was he? You said 68?
68. So he was right around the same time, but you had Al Vermeil, and you had Al Miller, and then you had Alvin Roy, who is arguably the first strength coach.
Where was that?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I know he precedes Boyd by a little bit.
Oh.
But Boyd has some ability to whatever. But so Pops was they gave him at the Russell House. They gave him a space, and I mean, think about like the liability of giving a freshman
and building wooden racks
and saying no, you build them. And we'll give you this room. And so he built the thing, and then he would take the other shot putters up. He's like, hey, let's go lift.
It'll make you throw further.
Right. And so they did that. And then when he graduated, he was his master's in education, but in the first class he taught at the university was weightlifting. So it was the first time that was ever taught at the university level here. And then when he became a teacher, he actually wrote the weightlifting curriculum for the entire state of South Carolina.
I had no idea.
So all the stuff, the gymnastics and the weightlifting curriculum for South Carolina were written by him.
He wrote both.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you know gymnastics?
Well, because that was, remember Stan Proddy? You remember that?
Yes.
Stan Proddy was Pops's, he was at South Carolina. So he went from, you remember the video where all the kids are doing that shit?
Totally.
So he went straight from California. He was Pops's professor at South Carolina.
Wow.
So he came up with all that.
This is insane. I didn't know any of this.
So Pops's kind of idea was early on because none of the schools could specifically buy enough equipment like gymnastics equipment.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah.
So he basically got everyone to chip in. He kind of worked the deal where all the schools chipped in, and then they were able to move the equipment around and rotate so everyone got a full set of equipment. And he built that system out.
Right, I see.
And then built the system out for the weightlifting that went with it. Because the idea of like, hey, get people moving, get all that type of stuff.
Yeah, there's all kinds of research that makes you smarter. Now,
right. Yeah. Now they're all saying it, but
we've known that.
In 1975, that wasn't necessarily known. And then in 1980. I can't remember if it was Nigeria or Kenya sent him over to train their Olympic athletes, and he had to teach them how to throw shot, discus, javelin, all the track events, but also how to do weightlifting programming because they didn't have anything. So we have some old pictures of him in this village, like a dirt village, with these dudes clean and jerking. This is 1980.
So awesome.
So he was there for 30 days during that time and basically built out their whole kind of their national programming.
Wow.
That's really cool.
So
I get to work with China now. It's so
crazy.
weird. I'm going to teach China how to do weightlifting when they have the best weightlifting team, but their national team doesn't work with their strength and conditioning coaches. So I'm going to go over there. Don't think I'm not going to track down Lou. I'm like, you're going to talk to me.
Yeah. So sorry, that's a weird.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the question was, but that was kind of.
Well, one thing that pops up in my brain is like, one of the fastest ways typically for like a business to fail is for the son to come in and take it over because he didn't do the grind that made it special to begin with.
Sounds like you did, though. Sounds like your dad made sure you did.
Yeah, like how did that process
maybe
feel?
If we were more successful early on.
Yeah, someone had to turn it into a business.
If we were more successful early on, maybe it wouldn't have been hard, and but. I came on in 1992 at 15 years old when all my friends did all the cool jobs, like the pool and everything.
You're in the warehouse.
I was chipping BBs and painting and all the hard stuff, and so that's what that's what this is. Then did installs and all the other things that went along with it, and then came on full time in '99. And the premise wasn't to grow the business or do anything crazy. It was like, Pops needs help. I'm gonna go help Dad. I was 5 years in track and field and training at that point, so like I loved training.
Yeah.
I knew the Olympic trials was coming the next year, so I was just all into training. And so of course, being involved in a company that makes training equipment made total sense.
Perfect.
And for me, it was really a competitive advantage because no one else in the industry at that time with the other big companies were actively training for an Olympic event. And they weren't lifting like I was lifting. They weren't loving it like I was loving it. And where I was competing, I was going to all these universities to compete. Well, of course, I would just stop in and talk with every strength coach, take them out for drinks, and I would just talk training for hours. Or I'd stay at their house and we'd talk training. And so there was like a decade of just training and talking training around the country, and just because I was interested in it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'd come back and go, hey, I saw this guy doing this thing, but he had it on these chairs and it sucked. If we make this thing, this will work. And we made the single leg squat piece with a roller pad.
Yeah.
Well, that was just for me to train. And because people were doing it a different way and they were making these things out of wood. I'm like, well, let's try this. Or then I saw this guy doing these Nordic hamstrings. I was like, well, there's nothing that does that. So I went back to the shop and welded up the first poor man glute ham. Or the landmine. I learned this exercise from Judd Logan and Susie Powell, the two Olympic throwers. And they said, well, we do this thing. We put it in a corner. And I was like, well, I want to do that.
I've been putting barbells in shoes for a long time.
Shoes, right. Sure. And it was like, hold on. Well, let's make a universal joint, hook it to something. And then, so a lot of that stuff was never intended to sell. It was just, how do I get the competitive advantage over my competitors because I'm undersized, I haven't trained as long as they have, and I have to learn all the things possible and to get to that level. It just happened to work out that I was in a position to be at a company that we would then put innovative stuff out that was and the pendulum swings, right? Had I come out of college 10 or 15 years earlier, it would have been during the bodybuilding phase, and my skill set would not have been needed.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do that.
I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on the industry as you've come through, because the functional fitness thing, as we kind of talked about, had this huge rush, and I feel like a lot of where we're at is kind of people took the functional fitness thing so far, and then but nobody really connects with bodybuilding, but realizing how important that is, and then how you guys kind of take wherever it's at right now of kind of combining all the worlds, and I think we're like finding like some new space.
Right. I think it's coming back to being strong and getting fit and like, let's don't be crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think I would have to almost tie it. I mean, the pendulum always swings, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just we were when powerlifting ruled the roost. We were when bodybuilding ruled the roost. There was a strongman side in there. There was all that. I have to say social media has changed that a ton, because back in the day, like training for performance was like, you go do that so you can go make millions of dollars or go win your game.
Right.
And now that social media is so big, everything is so visually stimulating, I could see a resurgence back in a different style of bodybuilding because people don't want to just clean 400 pounds. They want to look pretty freaking cool when they take their shirts off too, because there's there's vanity, there's all that stuff. And then there's the vanity of, I want to lift big ass weights. So you're getting like the strength and the aesthetics coming back. And what does that sound like? 1950s and 60s golden age of
Totally.
lifting, right? And really the functional stuff, although useful in ways, it doesn't look that cool.
Yeah.
Just you don't want to watch a video of me doing this.
Jump rope, right?
Yeah, put 6 plates on and let me dunk it for a squat. That's pretty badass.
Or look like Piro's Dima, lift like Piro's, and then look like him.
Sure,
that's cool.
That's cool as crap.
Yeah, that Iron Mind picture of him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's historic.
It's historic.
Yeah.
And so I think there's like the resurgence of that is you look at the old like Pizarenko.
Oh,
you know, I mean, who doesn't want to look? I was in college and I had that picture on my wall in college. People
I saw it over there. Yeah.
And you know, but you remember Pizarenko? They were just kind of a weird story. So when he was so strong, they always wanted him to gain weight and become like a super heavy, like one of the big boys, because he was like a 582 clean and jerker at 265.
There's rumors of him actually clean and jerking over 600 is the rumor.
But they always said like, hey, if he got to 330, 340 body weight, like the Taranenkos and these huge guys, like he would put the world record where no one would have ever touched it. And he goes, but I want to look a certain way. And it was literally a vanity thing. It was the Arnold era.
Good for you.
The bodybuilding. And he was like, I want to look like a superhero. I don't want to look like a big fat guy that happens to be
That's
small.
what Morgan needs to gain weight. And he's like, he does not want to get fat. You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think you're going to get fat. You're 6'1", you're lifting all this weight. But
Alexiev wasn't the greatest looking dude ever.
No, he looked awful.
He looked awful.
Yeah, just like, and that's the image too many people have of weightlifting. They think it's all Alexi, and it's not. You know, like the Lou Zhang is just jacked.
Sure.
His back. Yeah. You can look and tell who does weightlifting. If they have those traps in that back, they're a weightlifter. Butt and legs.
You got to have some sort of muscles to stay over the bar.
Outside of the heaviest weight class, everybody's lean.
Everybody, or you're not winning. One of the two, because a fat does not move. It does not contract, or lengthen. It just sits there. It's really a disadvantage to you. So these people who just think eating to get big is going to help you. It's not going to help you, man. Fat won't just sit there. And it'll just weigh you down.
I think we're seeing, to answer that, I think we're seeing people are seeing holistic strength, aesthetics. It goes. I mean, you look if John Grimmick or Tommy Kono walked in the room right now, he would be the guy that would get all the Instagram likes. Like he has the right things. He could do a bunch of crazy strength stuff. He looks amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not this. I hate to say the bodybuilders got so big to a point you're like, okay, you don't even look like a human anymore, and you probably can't do a lot of stuff. And then when that background of you're so dieted down, you're so this and that, you can barely walk on stage. Cool, that's their sport. That's what they've chosen to do. But most people, that's unattainable, nor really desirable.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you have kind of all these other likes in life, from bow hunting. Those people, when they're doing that at the highest level, training is a big part of their life.
Huge.
I'd love to hear just kind of some of the inspiration that you get when you're out in the woods or on those trips, and just kind of how these different interests play into your vision of creativity and how Sorinex creates.
Probably, like you said before, we all have to have a goal that we're going for, whether it's to clean and jerk 300 pounds every year or whatever. So I'm 44, but as I get older, I realize like there's certain things that I don't even really want to do anymore. I don't want to throw a hammer 80 meters. Like that's not something that's on my radar to do. But I know I have to have a goal in order to train. I know I want to train. I want to get better at something. I want to get better at something tomorrow than I am today, and I just have to find out what those things are. They have to interest me. So as I'm getting more into the mountain side of hunting, I've hunted my whole life and everything like that, but the bow hunting, public land in the mountains is very grueling, very rigorous.
Yeah.
And I've noticed many times my strength and athletic prowess has helped me a lot, and I've noticed my lack of certain aspects has hurt me.
Yeah.
And then so I look at it.
Cardiovascular?
Yeah, cardiovascular or even flexibility or different stuff like that. And you're like, okay, if that's a thing, that's something we could train for.
Sure.
Because it's measurable. And now I have a goal. And now it's like, got it. Maybe this year isn't to squat 600, it's to do X, Y, and Z, because I know I will be better at this thing I've chosen to do. And so that keeps the carrot out in front of me, like I could get better.
What mountains? Like when you say mountains,
like going into Utah, Wyoming, like
big
mountains, like the ones that'll screw your face. Like,
I was wondering, are you talking about North Carolina mountains? They're not that bad, but
you put
you're
a
talking
pack
about Wyoming out there. That's up there.
Yeah. I mean, we were tracking a buck a few years ago in Wyoming, or actually in Idaho.
I love Idaho.
and it was, snow 8-9 inches deep.
Teton Mountain, Snake River.
And we're tracking him, and you could see the guy I was with, his buddy, and he's a guide, and he's like, man, every time we see that buck run, you can see the tracks to run. He's like, if he's running, we got to run, because otherwise we're going to
never catch him.
Yeah, and we're 7,000 feet and 10 inches of snow.
There's no air.
Pack on your back, rifle on your back. I live at 252 feet elevation, and it's like, let's go. We got to go. He's
literally
running.
die doing that.
Yeah, and you're just like, for miles. And you're just like, this is so freaking hard. And then I look at it and go, do I quit because it's too hard, or I know how to train. I know what the expectation level is. I know I need to. It's like back in the day. Well, you're not going to throw far until you squat 500 pounds.
Right.
Well, I know what the expectation level is. I could train for that.
Yeah.
And so now I got something to train for.
I would assume at some point you've connected with Steve Ranella. He's the guy that has that Meat Eater show, right?
Strangely enough, he's one of the few that I have not connected with.
Yeah, when him and Rogan talk about training to go on those long hunts, I'm like, I don't even need to shoot anything. I just want to go train and put
that.
Like he has put the plate on chest plate and on the back, and it just goes up and runs and hikes hills and stuff. I'm like, that's the stuff I want to do.
Crawling, and it's crazy. I mean, Rogan trains in my opinion, Rogan's probably the biggest advocate for hunting in the world right now, because he trains, and he has that type of.
I love him.
Yeah.
They try to cancel him. He's like, I'll cancel you.
Yeah. Now, and just an awesome dude, but you got your Cameron Hayneses, your John Dudleys, your guys like that are your Jockos, that are just tough dudes. And they're just doing these amazing things. And, I was with Cam. He killed a bear with a bow that I would say was every bit of 300 plus pounds. I mean, it was a monster. It took 4 of us to get it up. We were trying to drag it out, and I had to get to hunt, and we're like, we got to get this thing out of the woods. Didn't have time to get all the stuff in. We're like, let's get it out of here. So we're all looking, and I'm like, probably the easiest thing. I was like, kind of joking. I was like, well, someone can put it on their back. I was like, how about you put it on my back, kind of joking around. I was like, I wasn't going to do that. And Cam is 165 maybe, and he's like, if I get down, can y'all get on my back? And I'm thinking, this is a joke. This guy's 50-something years old. He's an ultra marathon guy. Doesn't squats. We put that freaking bear on his back, and I'm thinking, I'll be surprised if he could squat it up, because he doesn't squat, doesn't deadlift. He put it on his back and was like, boom. And I took a video of it, and I'm like, this shit's incredible.
How far did he go?
He went probably 50, 60 yards the first hump. Put it down, gasped for a minute. We put it on his back again, and he got it all the way to the truck. And now we're going through thick stuff, so it's not like you could just run with it. And
that's a man.
And my goal, all I was doing is trying to break brush in front of him so we'd have a trail, because he was just and he laid it down. He's like, I think my heart's going to explode. And then 2 or 3 seconds later, he's like, all right, we're good. I'm just like,
I can't recover like that.
Cow, and then you're like, okay, there are people that could just do things that normal mortals can't do.
No, I would have a heart attack for sure.
Well, and there's a different type of mentality when you're in the gym, I would imagine. I've never been out on any of those long hunts, but or hunting in general, but you're in the gym, you kind of have this very fixed environment of, well, that bar weighs 45 pounds.
Yep.
That bear could weigh 500.
Dude.
That bear could be 200. It could, no one knows what the bear is going to weigh that you kill.
Yeah, and a bear feels like picking up a trash bag full of water. They just slosh around.
All
the
the fat.
hair is long, and there's nothing to grab onto.
Have you ever picked up a human that's too drunk or passed out, and you're like, how did 200 pounds get so heavy?
It's the worst.
It's not regular 200 pounds on a barbell.
Yeah, so guys like that could just go there, and I have a certain romanticism to it, because I love the outdoors too, and I love, like you said, a bar is 45 pounds, it's 29 millimeters, this is my perfect bar, I love it. That's cool, but then there gets to this side that's
real.
All the variables are variable.
Yeah.
Maybe it's uneven terrain. Maybe your shoe blows out. Maybe this, and you're like, "Hey, it doesn't matter."
Yeah,
it doesn't matter, because you got to get that
snowstorms coming.
Snowstorms coming. Your altitude, your this and that.
Yeah.
So there's so many things, and that for me, it offers a training environment and a challenge that is totally variable all the time, and it does it. I love the fact of the outdoors, because being in business and being all as you well know, people could put on something. People could posture. People could lie. People have the ability to do that. Nature doesn't.
Yeah.
It's going to do what nature does.
Yeah.
And if you thrive, it's fine with that. And if you die, it's fine with that.
They're cool either way.
It's fine either way. And I find a cool truth to that, and go, okay, so the only variable is, can I handle what it does?
Yeah.
And am I prepared enough, and can I put the work in enough? And if I can't, it's no one's fault but mine. It's not. If the weather drops down and I die of hypothermia, I should have prepared better.
Yeah. I have not faced much of that in nature, but I very much view athletics in the same way. If it's like, oh, there's game, we should play. We should find out who wins.
You got to run.
Let's just go do it.
Run the experiment. I got to run the experiment.
I got to.
My theory is this.
Yeah.
Got to run the experiment.
Let me ask you about when I walk into a gym. I know right away. You could if you didn't put your name on it, it would not matter. I know this is Sorinex. Like, how did you do that? Like, how did you brand equipment so well that I know it's yours?
Oof, that's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't know. Maybe it's like when you
even
see
your railings. I can see it comes from here.
Intentionality, or is that a word? Intentionality, being intentional.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of one of the things that we harness here, and we hit all the time. And Pops, again, it goes back to what he's like. You could always do whatever you want to do, just have a reason for it. If I ask you why you did it, you better have had a reason. And so that always it causes you to have intentional action. Like if you stole the car. Don't like it, but at least have a reason you did it, and then we can talk about it.
Right.
You know, and so maybe that's a bad example. I never stole a car. But so when we're designing something or when we're building something, it's never like for show unless the intentionality is for it to look freaking awesome.
Certainly,
and we realize that's an aesthetic thing or this is a design thing. And so kind of what we've always done is like the brand DNA has to stay strong, has to cut to the bone, as we say. Like, you can't just scrape away the top of it and you're like, oh, that was Sorinex. But it's just kind of meh.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it has to cut to the bone of what you do. And if that means building a platform or the railing or, like we have upstairs, I call it the library. I call it all the stuff that's not on the internet about training.
Yeah.
And some of those books are 100 years old and there's like some physical culture books. I'd like to take you guys up there. But that's the stuff where you can't have gotten into this in the last year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and collect some of this stuff or have that knowledge base. It has to always be intentional and stay focused on that. And when that happens, then it just comes out, right? Like
makes sense.
Like you see guys, or whether it's a training model, whether it's a team, whether it's whatever, you just kind of know, like that's that person. Like
right.
like a Louis done it well. You know what a West Side guy looks like.
100%. 100%.
On his way to the grave. Way overweight. But very strong.
But yeah, or like, I mean, heck, I used to laugh. I go, show me someone's shoes and I could tell you their rep scheme.
Totally.
If they walk in and they're Chucks, I could tell you what their workout probably is today. If they walk in and they're Olympic lifting shoes or they're whatever's they are, I used to laugh. I'm like, just show me their shoes and I'll tell you where they live most likely, what's on their playlist. And I could tell you, like,
totally.
And it's
you knew the West Side guys when they showed up. They just look a certain way.
They look a certain way. And that was from a very strong brand DNA of Louis.
Yeah. That
right or wrong.
Crazy animals training together.
That's what it is. And he did a wonderful job of that. And then there's other gyms and other teams and the New England Patriots or the Yankees or they all have that strong.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay now. But then it just shows where some of that brand DNA was, right?
Yeah, and left where it went.
Exactly.
Like Lou is heavily involved in the design of all of his equipment that he sells. Like, how involved are you with like designing? Is that like one of your primary roles here?
Yeah, I would say it's either me, my dad, and then some of the stuff is spurned on by a few of my employees, as they talk to a customer, or they'll kind of say, hey man, have you ever thought of doing X, Y, or Z? But generally it's stuff that Pops or I dream up, and it's, again, it kind of boils down to, if it's just the stuff you think about a lot, it's what you do. Like, whether it's a program, whether it's a whatever, it's like you think about that stuff a lot of times and something happens, right? It's
totally. I have one more question. The machine over there, is that the thing that Louis Simmons designed or came up, or did you guys come up with?
Which one's that?
It's the one that's got like a hydraulics.
That's actually a CoreMax machine. That's not ours. We partnered with them. So what it does, you have a loaded concentric and a free eccentric. So you could throw the bar and it'll go. And it'll drop back down. And you could, with the hydraulics, you could dial in the speed of fall.
I saw that.
So like for jerks, you could literally boom and then just walk out from under it and it'll go fall back in a position.
So your jerk recovery is
you don't have a jerk recovery, or like for us, it was like throws. Wham! And now I don't have an eccentric load coming back down, so I was able to do snatch throws, bench press throws.
The bench press throws would be.
It was huge, and then of course you like put a certain amount of weight on. You hook a tendo to your velocity sensor unit. Now I could tell truly what your upper body power from a throw, because obviously if you're benching, you always have a eccentric phase where you're slowing down.
Because you have to, or the weight would come out of your hands.
Correct. Yeah. And so that allows the weight to come out of your hands, or a jump squat. And sometimes you jump squat and it goes, and it'll fly up, and then it just holds there. And you're like, cool, you walk out from under the bar, or you have it set where
I immediately hear you talk about actual training methodology and things like that. How dialed in are you still to like staying up to date on where training's going and then kind of designing things around the latest
I'll be honest,
stuff?
Not as much as I used to be, because it's not what I'm trying to do personally. I'm not trying to be as strong, as powerful, and as resilient as I could. So I have to say it's not as much as it used to be. Because I've had to become more of a business person.
Yeah.
But there's still, I watch what people are doing. I go and still talk to coaches I've known for 20 years that are still training athletes, and we'll go and have dinner, and I'll ask, what's happening? What's new? What did you learn in the last year? So I'm still very interested in that personally. But, really a lot of the basics are still the basics.
Yeah.
Like there's concentric, eccentric, isometric. There's different ways of, making a bar move or not move, or different, but one of the biggest things, and not to get too weird in my opinion, is, weightlifting isn't necessarily always a muscular thing. A lot of it is just a method to tap into a hormonal release.
Right.
And it's just it's a vehicle for that. Or even like talking with Cal Dietz, he had a great insight talking about doing some shock training with some eccentric loads, and basically taking in supplementation prior to doing the shock loads. So when the like doing a drop, and so it actually your soft tissue would become ischemic for a microsecond, push out all the fluid inside of it, and when you have that other supplemental fluid in there, it would actually, as it soaks it back up, it soaks it directly infused into the soft tissue. So he was literally using a shock treatment training not to stimulate the muscle, but to infuse certain supplements into the tendons and ligaments.
So he's talking about like into the ligaments and tendons.
Yes.
Oh, so he's talking about so
he would take
the fluid,
Yeah, the fluid that's around it, and the little bit of fluid that's in it. Totally. But like if you take a rope and you make it wet and you hit it like that, you know how the water comes out of it. But what if you did that underwater, say in a pool? You do that, and when it sprays that water out, what is immediately it does? It takes in whatever's around it. So if that fluids around it is chlorinated, you can infuse chlorinated water into that rope by going pop underwater.
Because that's the only way.
Because that's the only way that you can
get in there.
Correct.
So because when people don't go, like if you don't do the ballistics, or if you don't do full range of motion, for example, then you never get the what's the fluid in your spine?
Synovial fluid.
Synovial fluid.
Right. Yeah.
So even in your joints, that's how it gets all the nutrients.
Yes.
So and only certain ways. So like when people all they do is like, a lot of people will do like partials, and it does specificity wise help them more. But if they never do like full ranges or ballistics, the synovial fluid is never released, and so and that's the only
it's never
way
exchanged.
Right, and that's the only way that joints can get those nutrients. That's the only way. So that's why if you don't do it, eventually you're going to get hurt.
Right,
because it's not getting nourished.
Right, and so that was he was talking to me one day, and we were doing there's a certain piece we call the triphasic hammer. So it's on our jammer arm, and what you do, it's a jammer arm on top of a jammer arm, and so you pull it into and you stop it, and what happens is we have it calibrated where that second hammer has a lag. So as you pull it down, it's like you pull this down and this side goes whack and claps down on it. So when it does that, it shocks. And so his thing was, 45 minutes or an hour out, I'll bring in bone broth and all these other collagens and this and that.
Yeah.
And he goes, all I'm doing is a certain amount of reps to infuse that into my soft tissue. And I'm like, so this has nothing to do with the muscle? He goes, no, it has nothing. He goes, all it's doing is and I'm like, now that's the stuff I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Well, there is.
To talk about box squats 5 sets of 5 doesn't really trip the trigger too much anymore.
Yeah, it's been there. But there's something else to that too. Like some of the latest research on hypertrophy is that the faster the eccentric. Remember, guys, I think we talked about it. The faster the eccentric, the more hypertrophy and more hypertrophy of the type 2 fibers versus type 1.
Sure.
So like he was doing more than he even realized. So wow.
So like designing things like that with Cal, when he said, well, I want to do bench press drops. I said, why do you want to do them? He said, well, I want to drop it and stop. And I said, well, for what? And then that was that thing. I said, well, perfect example. How do we come up with something? And I said, well, can we just do this on a jammer arm, and it's much safer and you keep your hand on it? And then in like 10 minutes we rigged one up. And it was like, well, does this do it? And he went, bang, bang, bang. That does that. And I go,
problem solved.
Cool. So I wrote a patent for it. Like literally, it was like that was that, and it was. And then we played with it, and how long is the lever? How much do you load? Where do you move it up and down the arm? Because then we found out you can move it up the arm, and it'll have a different lag pattern. So I could microsecond make it change it.
That's so awesome.
Like that's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
How many patents do you have, or have you had in your life?
I bet it's close to 10 now.
Wow.
We got another one the other day, but
it's a top secret.
It's just as you go.
Not anymore.
Well, it takes
the
forever.
government knows.
Well, it takes forever to get them. So like a year or two. So you're like, oh, cool, that one went through. Gosh, that took a while.
Yeah.
Back to work, right?
I see too a lot of people's Cal Dietz. You see the triphasic handles, where you do the over. I guess you'd say light. Louis would say light method.
Yeah.
Some people would say overspeed jumps or
sure.
Or so it's just cool to see in this very room so many different thoughts.
Well, that's where you start realizing, it's not necessarily looking like, hey, this will sell well. What does this do? Like, all of it is a stimulus, right? What does this piece of equipment help you stimulate to do? Is it redundant? If it's redundant, does it cost less? Is it more comfortable?
Yeah.
Is it safer? Is it like, why do it if it's just something that's already been done before, unless it solves a problem?
On the business side, do you find it difficult sometimes to strike that balance of like, oh, we're solving a problem, but only a professional running back needs it?
Of course.
So we're going to spend X amount of dollars, and all of a sudden there's 17 people in the country that need it.
We used to joke and say all 5s of them.
Yeah, right.
And there's some things we make like, this is awesome. You spend all this money doing it, and you go, why even put it out? Like, why do all this stuff and patents and everything when all 5s of people will use it?
Yeah.
And that's so. There's a lot of stuff that we have a big file of stuff that's like, this will be cool at some day.
Yeah.
But maybe not right now, or maybe the industry isn't there yet. There's no need
what we've noticed with all of our members and stuff following is like over 80% of them are back in their garages.
Correct.
And the technology that's coming out for how you can build a garage gym is insane. Like, I feel like everyone has focused on that. It's really crazy.
Yeah, and really that rig system.
That piece that you have over there is like the highest level of importance in my life. It's like it's basically an incline bench that you stand on.
Oh, the Bulldog pad?
Yeah, like you hook it in, and when I saw you guys come out with that, I was like, that solves almost every problem that I have in my garage gym right now. It's an incline bench. You can chest support fly, chest support row. I mean, that single thing is so simple looking. And when I went, oh my God, like that literally solves all of the problems of my training setup.
Thanks. That was actually a cool one. We actually designed it talking with the customer. They said, well, we want to do more chest supported rows, but we don't have room for them. And we were just sitting there, and I drew it on a whiteboard. I was like, well, on the backside of a lap machine, I think you could do this. Will this work? And they're like, yeah. And I came back, and I took a piece of cardboard, and I cut it out, and then I just kept shaving away the cardboard and put it on the rack and shaving it away until it worked. And then I would literally just put a hole in there, pivot off my knife, stick another hole in there, wedge it out, and then and I brought all the guys in, and I was like, I think this will work. And everyone's like, that's cool. And I handed it to my engineer in the back. I was like, make it out of steel. And that's how we made it.
It honestly,
that's so awesome.
I
want to see. I can't see it. When this is over.
It's right there.
No, you're
sticking off the
a piece over there.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But it solves every single problem of like almost all of the row variations that you like. Seal rows are so hard if you don't have a cool piece of equipment that can get the barbell out of the way.
And you can't adjust the height because different people's hands, and then you have...
And then dumbbell rows get really tough because you can't extend the scap because you run into the ground. Like almost every rowing variation gets really... To do it the way that you want to do it, it gets very difficult because of the limitations of the machine. And then you guys saw. I was
That's
like,
brilliant.
Well, then we started playing with like the hole design, because as it pivots, you could, if you had the normal holes, it changes the degrees too much. So then we came up with like the inchworm design, which I think we're the first people to do that, which was a hole design that was all connected.
Wow.
So then you could have micro loading with the holes, so you could have it flat, you could have it this, you could have it that, and then just we have a new thing coming out for it soon.
Beautiful.
It'll change the game even more. I'll show you when we turn the camera on.
When you're looking at the engineering, because on top of not only do I think that thing solves so many problems, but it's so simple. How much time do you guys spend coming up with the greatest idea in the world and then going, devil's advocate, scrap it all? How do we simplify this thing, because we got to chop pieces away?
Generally what we do is because for years it was, here's a cool simple idea, and we would Sorinex it, and maybe that meant making it too cool, which would drive the price up, and like, because it was like, hey, but what if people want to do this? We'll make sure it has that feature. What if people want to do this? Make sure it has, and then you would end up with this thing that you're like, okay, that's way too expensive. It has a million things it does. And then so we kind of, now our thought process is make sure it does the one thing better. I think Dan John used to call it the killer app. Make sure it does one thing better than anything on the market. And if it could do a second or third order effect, cool, but it better do that one thing better than any other solution.
Yeah. Solves the one
thing. Because otherwise, if you have something that's just a redundancy of what's already on the market, then it's just a fashion show.
We still got, all right. You have to tell the story about.
Do you have anything to do today, by the way?
That's what I'm saying.
No, this is fun.
I want you to tell the story about how you made the track team. We somehow got lost.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. So I was going to go to Appalachian State.
Yep.
I always wanted to go there because as a high school kid, I went skiing. I was like
it's a great
outdoor
school,
bum.
by the way.
Yeah, it was a great school. And I was into lifting, but I knew I wasn't going to be anyone in lifting, or that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go to App State. I could grow a beard. I could fly fish. I could ski. This was going to be great.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. So I went to apply for that. Applied late, got in, but they said you can come in the spring semester. I said, oh, okay. Well, South Carolina was my second choice. That was my backup school. It was right here in town. I'll go to South Carolina for a semester. That'd be great. So I show up, and for like the first 6 days, I'm an 80s movies kid, so like I saw all the party movies, and that's what I thought college was. That it was like Revenge of the Nerds, basically. So like
so for
like the first 6 days, that's what it was. Like I was just a drunken idiot, just riding around my bike, and then like, so I think it was like I can't remember what it was, like a Monday or Tuesday. So I knew, I was like, all right, I need to lift weights. I need to like get back to doing something that's not ridiculous.
Being a human.
Yeah, being human. So I called my dad. So I knew where I was going. The weight room they had like for the regular students was just terrible. It was just dungeon horrible. But I knew we had some like our gear at the football weight room. And so I called in a favor. I was like, hey, Pops, going to get a workout in today. I know you know this strength coach down there. Is there a way that I could get in to work out on our stuff? We had cool stuff. I mean, I still had pride. I want to lift on our stuff. And again, it's 1994, so there wasn't a lot of like oversight back then.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah. And so he goes, yeah. So he calls a coach down there. He said, yeah, sure, have him come by, but after the athletes are done, come on by, he could get a workout. I'm a 17-year-old kid. I don't listen to what time he says, so I just show up when I'm done with lunch. I'm like, I'd like to work out now. So I just cruise my way into the weight room. And if anyone's been in a college weight room, 2 p.m. on a Monday is like Katie bar the door. Everybody and their dog is there.
Yeah.
And at the time, South Carolina had one weight room, so every single athlete had to use one weight room.
That's what we had at Appalachian.
Yeah.
If you'd have gone out, it would have been the same thing.
It would have been the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, and now you're talking August, so no one knows who each other are.
Yeah.
It's the first week of school. And so I just cruise in. You just walk in the weight room like no one says anything.
That's the way to do it, number one. Yeah.
You just walk in.
Anyone wondering, that's what you do.
That's how you do it. This is how you do it. Walk in, I'm like, hey, platform's open.
Yeah.
Boom, start doing some cleans. I was like, this is a good time. I'm like, Lico bar, sweet. This is awesome. Then I'm watching some guys doing some vertical jump testing. I'm like, God, that's badass looking. I was like, that's kind of like Rocky IV shit. That's cool. And I always sucked in high school, so they never had tested me in that stuff. So I was like, stood in line, like very Forrest Gump, right? Just stood in line.
This is awesome. Yeah.
So they're like, I get up there, they ran, and then boom, 29 and a half. I was like, cool. They're like, that's pretty good. I'm like, right on. And then they what's your name? And I'm like, what the hell are they asking about my name? They write this on the sheet and they hand it to me. I'm like, thanks. So put it in my gym bag. I go back, finish my cleans, walk over, start benching. I was like, oh, cool, they're doing body fat testing too. That looks awesome. So I walk up, I'm standing there, and I'm standing in line.
This is so great.
And there's a guy sitting there, with the calipers, of course, in the office. And I walk up, and to speak of the office, it's the office in the same weight room from the program. Remember the movie? That was our weight room. And that had only been filmed 2 years before, so it looked exactly like
awesome.
Yeah. So I walk up, and he's like, all right. And he was like, handing my sheet. He's like, what sport? And I'm like, my shirt's up. And I was like, probably track and field. I'm just making up shit. and he's like, oh, what events? I'm like, I was like, freaking do the caliper, man. Like,
stop talking to me.
Yeah, and he's like,
I'm about to get busted.
I'm totally getting busted, and I'm realizing I'm having to weave a tail. So I'm like, shot put and discus. He goes, I was like, I was thinking about walking on in the spring. It was total bullshit. And he was like, I said, I wasn't very good in high school, but, I'm thinking about walking on. I'm like, all right, that'll be enough information.
Yeah.
Stop talking to me. We'll be good. He goes, how far did you throw? And I'm like, I threw 44 feet and 132 in the discus. He's like, that's not very good. I'm like, yeah, I know. I told you I wasn't. I just told you. He goes, what did you get at the state meet? I was like, I didn't make it to the state meet. That doesn't make it to the state meet. He goes, okay, so actually did all my stuff. I was 7.2, never forget. And
you were 7.2?
Yeah.
Yeah,
lean.
That's a lean, tall dude.
Yeah, I was like, like olive oil.
Yeah.
And so he goes, okay, well, hey, my name is Larry Judge. I'm the throws coach at the University of South Carolina. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
You're like, my life sucks right now.
On campus, I could have bullshitted. You're the only guy I couldn't,
You could not bullshit.
And he goes, so you coming on the track team? I was like, yeah, coach, I'll come on out. I'm thinking, like, get me out of here. Let me finish my workout. Not in this anymore. He goes, okay, well, practice starts tomorrow at 2:00. And I was like, it's August. It's a spring sport. He goes, coach. He goes, son, you're in college now. He's like, it's a year-round deal. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try to make it. He goes, if you're on the team, you will make it tomorrow. And I was like,
I'll see it.
Gotcha. I just turned around and walked out, and I kind of finished my work, did some lap pulls and stuff, and I kind of went back to my dorm room. I didn't have a cell phone, so I called Dad. He's like, how's your workout? I was like, I think I'm on the track team now. And he's like, what? Because backwards, Pops was a super highly recruited discus thrower at the University of South Carolina. So he's like, you don't have to do this for me.
He was like, you suck.
Yeah, he's like, you're not good. You threw 70 feet less than I did in high school. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, what are you going to do? I go, I guess I'll show up and see what it's about.
I'll throw as hard as I can.
And I just showed up, and I'm like this little skinny dude, and all these guys are sitting there. I'm like, gosh, these are the biggest people I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, are you a fifth-year senior? He's like, no, I'm a freshman. The other guy's like, I'm a freshman. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm so out of my league.
He's like, damn it.
This is so bad. This is going to be a long day. And Coach Judge asked me, he's like, well, how far do you throw the discus? I told him. He's like, that's not very good. I'm like, yeah, I get it. He's like, well, how far have you thrown the javelin? I was like, never seen one. He's like, well, we need a jab thrower right now. You're more built like a jab guy. I was like, okay. He goes, how far have you thrown a football? I was like, never played. He's like, how fast can you throw a baseball? I'm like, never played. He is.
Your arm, can you just put your arm over your head?
Are you breathing?
Can you do this?
Yeah. And he's like, I was like kind of being an ass. I was like, I can throw a rock pretty far in the lake. And he's like, that's going to have to do. And so literally.
This is great.
So literally, I
was going to have to do.
I started training 5 days a week, throwing 5 days a week, lifting 5 days a week, and then another 2 days of javelin. And he was just.
Let me ask you. When you first started, when you started throwing there, were you same as you were in high school, or had you already taken this leap a little bit?
I mean, maybe a hair better, just because I had a summer of growing up, but I sucked. I was terrible. I mean, I was like 100-foot college discus guy and like a 34-foot college shot guy.
What about javelin? Were you good
javelin?
At that?
No, I mean, I just learned. I picked it up. Like I was like, this is how you do this thing. And then,
weren't you primarily a hammer thrower though?
Yeah.
Right?
So he was like, well, but we had to train everything. So it was like I was bad at everything because I sucked. And then it was just, and we got in, he started training, and he totally, and everyone totally assumed I'd be there like a week. Mm-hmm. There's no reason I should be there. I wasn't recruited. I didn't realize that people were good there. I remember in practice, I'm like, hey, it was in something about like an inter squad meet was coming up. I was super pumped about it. And the 5th year senior is like, this doesn't matter. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? It's a meet. He goes, the only thing that matters is NCAs and SECs. And I was like, what are those?
He's like, damn, man.
He was like, SEC is the conference. I'm like, conference. Got it.
Yeah.
Is that good? He's like, yeah, you want to be ready for that? I'm like, okay. He's like, but you're redshirting this year. You won't go to that. I'm like, okay. Like, I knew nothing. I'm like, NCAs, what does that do? And he's like, that's the National Collegiate. I'm like, got it. I was like, do I get to go to that? He's like, you're not good enough. I'm like, okay.
Dang it.
And I was like, someone said you were an All-American. And he was like, yeah, 2-time All-American. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, that means you're good at the NCAs. I'm like, that sounds great.
I mean, I throw it a lot.
I was like, and then I just remember thinking, like, I want to be one of those because that sounds
cool.
like something I've heard of.
Yeah.
You know?
Wait, there's a medal at the end of this?
This is awesome. There's like, I've heard All-American means good.
Now the story's about to turn cool, though.
Yeah,
at least the only direction you can go is up.
No, that's the best part. It's like anything I do, I'm going to be better. Right. So I show up and I do, and so like, of course, at first I'm like the guy that had to go get all the water from the training room because we train on off-site plays, and I had a car, so I had to go pick up all the girl throwers that didn't have cars that were actually good.
Sign me up.
There you go.
And they're like, Bert needs to go pick up, and so I'm like the taxi guy. That then I had to go by the training room, and like they were just figuring to get free labor out of me.
Fine.
And it's fine.
You're the intern.
You do the dumb shit, right?
Yeah.
And then, but then I started lifting, and then I was weak. I think going into, I remember I had a 250 clean, which isn't terrible. I had a 320 back squat, maybe a 385 deadlift, and a 235 bench. No, I was 215. I couldn't bench 225. And
wow, you had a ways to go.
172 body weight, and that was that.
Were you this tall?
1 inch shorter than I am now.
Okay.
So
how tall are you? 6'4"?
6'3".
6'3".
So basically this, but a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right. So I went to lift, and coach was like, no, don't train with the men. You train with the women until you're stronger than them. I'm like, okay. So we got on the rack.
Demoralizing.
But I didn't realize the 2 women he put me on the rack with were Dawn Ellerby and Lisa Missapeka, the number 1 and 2 hammer thrower in the nation.
So I'll show these girls.
And it took me months and months and months to get as strong as them. And I remember the day I did it, I squatted 385 for 6, and that beat Lisa by 5 pounds.
You're like, thank you, God.
And I mean, but it was just like, you better freaking bring it, because these girls are. I mean, Lisa and Dawn both benched 225 for 5.
That's
snatched 200
Back then,
pounds.
especially, that's beast.
Snatched 200 pounds for a 6'3" woman in the 90s.
Even
like
anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime a girl's over 200.
Yeah, and not like down. I'm talking just
power sash.
And so,
Savage.
but that was the people I was around, and all the dudes were super strong because they were all like high end guys, and that's just what I thought. But going back to your gym it was if you can't clean 3 blues, you're not even trying.
Right.
Like you're not even. You might as well just freaking not show up.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not even discussing your name.
Yeah. And I was the guy you just didn't get his name discussed. I was just a shitty dude, until it was like I came in at 172 and I left that semester at 199. I'm like, oh. And I remember going home, and that was that time we were talking about, like, when people notice.
Yeah.
And I remember going home at high school, and people were like, you're on steroids. And I just remember, like, no, I'm just eating all the time, and I'm lifting, and this is cool.
But thank you for saying that.
Because now girls are like, you're kind of buff, and dudes are like, dude, you got super big, and they all, like, they didn't, and I'm like, this is fun.
Yeah.
And then, you start, the weights go up, and then every 4 weeks.
That's the drug.
Yeah, that's the drug. Yeah. That's the addiction. And then you go every 4 weeks, our cycles were made where every 4 weeks we did a rep max. So you got to literally test every 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And my life revolved around every 4 weeks I got to cash out. And it was just like, I get to do this again. And training wasn't I got to, it was I get to.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like, I get to show out every 4 weeks what I put in, and I'm going to make it a point that I tried harder than everyone else did this 4 weeks. And I want to have the biggest jump. Yeah. And I remember one time my jump went from, it's been a while, I'll get it wrong, but I remember it was like I went from like a 330 for like 8, I think, or no, 6 in the squat, and then we were going to like 8s maybe or something, and so I was only supposed to like 10 pounds less, but I was supposed to get 1 extra rep. And I remember in a 4-week period of time, I was supposed to get like 7 or 8, and I got like 14 or 17.
Oh, yeah. That was a big jump.
And I remember literally like crying as I'm lifting and doing like 5 more because I was just like, I'm leaving everything here. I want to tell these people I'm here. They can't run me off. I will be as good as they are one day. Like, and it was like this emotional experience, like, fuck being shitty.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go. And I remember like being done with it. It was the most euphoric feeling, and it was just fantastic. And then when it caught, then it was in. Right?
Yeah.
Then it was just, and then we had our inter squad meet, and I won the javelin, which is funny now because I was the only one that trained it. But even the guys that were good athletes, I happened to beat them. And I'm like, oh, I could be. Then they were like, you're the jav guy. And I'm like, I'm a guy. Like, I didn't have a identity prior to that.
I'm not the Wonder Boy guy anymore.
Yeah, I'm
the
like,
jav guy.
You actually think I'm good at a thing. And then that year ended up kind of picking up the hammer, made junior nationals. And I'm like, I went to a national meet. Nationals is kind of like an NCAA thing you're talking about. And that means I'm on the right track. And I went there, and I met like Susie Powell, who later went to the Olympics. I met John Godina. I met like all these people.
The dudes.
And I'm walking around going, I read about you guys. And
I'm with you now.
And I'm with you now.
That's it.
And I'm here. And I'm like, oh, this is a thing? And then it was like, you can't pull me away from this because now I want to be your guys. I want what I feel when you walk in the door, I want people to feel that when I walk in the door.
Yeah.
And
that's how it starts.
That's how it starts, man.
Yep.
That's how it starts. And I remember a couple years later, I'm standing on in the Atlanta Dome there, standing on the RCA Dome, RCA, whatever one's the one in Atlanta. And that year, so I watched Lance Steele break the world record in the 35-pound weight as a little 18-year-old freshman. I'm watching. I'm like, that's amazing, because I was throwing 50 feet at the time. He threw 85 feet.
Good.
Oh, God. And I'm watching it. I'm like, there's incredible that anyone could do this. I got his autograph and everything else. And 2 years later, I'd thrown like 66 and made nationals. And I remember standing there, and I was down on the same floor 2 years later competing with him. And he was there, and he was like, oh, nice of you to make it. And I was just like, I mean, I totally choked. Yeah. But it was just like, the guy like knows, and like he and I are friends now and stuff like. But it's like the same thing. It's like the first time you get to compete with Cone, and he knows who you are, and you're like, I'm on this track. I see a path. I see a path to success, and and the variable is just a shit ton of effort.
Yeah.
And if it just becomes effort, then I know I could win because I could just give more than other people can.
You out-effort them. That's exactly
just out-effort them. And then you start going, well, now I could train smarter and do these little things that help competitive advantage and stuff like that.
I can eat right. I can sleep right.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, well, at Christmas, I mean, Christmas and summer was... Our goal was always, you throw, you peak, you hit this, everyone rebuilds over the summer, they come back. Our goal was you better come back throwing further the first day of the school year than you did leaving.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was like, that was what we're going to do. We're all going to be stronger. We're all be throwing further because we knew everyone else wasn't. And we go, if we do that in the 2 or 3 months of the summer, you add that up over 5 years, I just got a year on you.
Yeah.
Total.
That's brilliant. Yeah, exactly.
And that was what we did. And we just had this...
You become master of the mundane.
Yeah, and you did super hard, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then my senior year, I got my 4th All-American that year, was voted team captain, which is super cool, and broke the SEC record in my last throw.
You guys hear what just happened?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Like
he went from being like Forrest Gump, as he said, to team captain.
I feel like there's no way that that story hasn't repeated itself multiple times in your life where you just go, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here right now, but
totally.
Let's go.
All I know is I'm on top. Yeah.
Well, and the key is to not. I mean, in my opinion, there isn't a top, right?
I totally agree.
You're just like,
that's the place you don't want to be.
That's the place you're just like, all right. And then these dudes, and then, we brought in some other athletes that were Olympians, and so you're around those guys all the time. And kind of, what's that movie, The Edge, where he says, like, what one man can do, another can do?
Yeah.
When you're going after the bear. And
one
of my roommates was the highest recruited shot putter in the nation in North America, and I got to sit and train with him every single day. Now, he's still a super freak. I didn't have his genes.
Right.
But I still went, I could train at least as hard as he can.
Right.
And when I realize he's still immortal, I realize I have a chance.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, you're not this person that lives on Mount Olympus.
Right.
I realize that we do the same shit. And
he bleeds red just like
he bleeds red, and he was just gifted some more, but I could breathe that same air.
You also realize it's not just like, they have that extra little genetic potential, but they also work harder than everyone else too. I think that is something that anytime I've ever trained with anybody that's like a next level human being, it's like, oh yeah, you might be bigger and genetically stronger and all of this stuff, but the way you live your life also is
100%
so dialed in and perfect, and like you live by this standard that nobody even else knows exists.
Yes.
Nobody's not willing to go there. They're just not willing to do those things.
Yes. And I found my observation was in college was the people with a super high talent level generally have a low effort level. The people with a low talent level have a high, and I literally graphed it like at 18, 20 years old. I was like, that's why most people end up in the middle, because they intersect in the middle.
Yeah.
And I was like, and there's very few people, if they're low talent and low motivation, they just suck and they never get on the bus.
Yeah.
The very few that are high talent, high motivation, they'll end up.
They do extraordinary things.
They end up with Olympic rings.
LeBron,
Michael
Jordan, LeBron. It's those people.
And we had Brad Snyder, we had Terrence Trammell, we had the Barber twins. We had one girl was there. She was 24-time All-American, Division I.
Wow.
But okay, first day she showed up. She didn't run the year before in college. She was a cheerleader that year.
Of course.
She showed up the first day. 14 wide grip pull-ups as a freshman. Dropped down and just kind of was like, oh, this is cool. And I was just like, and even as a kid, I'm like, that's a different human.
Yeah. Freaks are cool.
She coming out of gymnastics too then, if she's in cheerleading, doing that many pull-ups? I feel like that's a gymnast right there.
I feel like she's had some play in there.
But multiple Olympic medals later.
Yeah.
You know, and so but growing up around those people and you see them every day and you're like, okay, the ones who train really, really hard, they get there, but no one's magic. Like everyone has struggles, everyone has weaknesses, everyone has this, and then you go, well, that doesn't make me any different. And I think there's a kind of a part of a delusionment that just thinks I can.
Yeah.
Like whether my genetics allow me to or not, you just go, well, shit, that guy did it, and I don't consider him much better than me. He probably was.
Yeah.
But you just go, sure, I can do it.
Or if you're assuming which one you are, if you're really talented, just assume you're not, and just go work really hard.
Sure. And then even in business,
go wrong just defaulting to working hard.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then in business, you're like, well, that's so-and-so company, so-and-so this. And then people are like, dude, you were just like this little mom and pop, father-son kind of cute little business. And like, until you believe you're not, you're just not there.
Yeah.
You know, I used to have a thing on my computer it was like, I will prepare, and one day, like it was an Abraham Lincoln thing, but it kind of got me thinking. I was like, there is no success, or no failure. There's just delayed success. I haven't won, yet.
Yeah.
And so it was always that. It was like, we didn't win today, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, because I'll keep playing the game after you've decided to go
outlast
home.
everybody.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Do you feel like that's a natural thing for you to kind of rise to the level of those around you? Like you came in as a nobody, you're around some NCAA, champion type guys, and then you just leveled up to their level?
100%. I take a lot in from my environment. And so I get very inspired by my environment. And that's why I pick the people that I hang out with the most, because I realize they have a very big influence on me, and then my goal is to hopefully live the code enough where maybe I could be a positive influence on them.
Yeah.
But I also just realized, like, I'm good at seeing something being done and trying to, like, I can learn through other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, I could do that pretty well. So I go, okay, he did this and got mistakes or successes. I kind of see this path.
Yeah. Do you remember when you, like, feeling like you were the asset versus, like, hoping you fit in?
Yeah, it kind of a little bit. I still had I've always had a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Because I sucked like in athletics as a kid.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my best friends who ended up playing football at Clemson, he told me one day, he's like, you are the worst athlete I've ever met. Like, and he didn't realize like how powerful those words were, because he was like this athlete sport guy, and I was like this dumbass kid with like a slingshot. Like, what should I think? I was just like this kid, right?
Is it natural for you to want to like prove him wrong? Like, I feel like that's Travis. Like, someone tell you that, you'd be like, fuck you, I'm going to go do it
100%. Yeah. And I mean, to the extent on in the summer times, we would come home when he'd come home from Clemson to like train. I'd make sure that he trained with me, because I wanted him to get better, but I wanted to subliminally show him every day that I was a beast.
You wanted this.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to show you and our 6-year-old selves that like I was the athlete, and you're going to watch how good I get.
Yeah.
And I mean, is that a selfish, egotistical way? Yeah.
You got to have it to be great, though.
Yeah. I think it is. There's just things that, Yeah, that you just and living in the shadow of a Richard Soren, you see amazing things. And there was times as a kid you're like, that's Superman. I can't do that. The people can't do that. I'm not that caliber.
See, I constantly tell my kids they're going to be way better than me. Yeah. I tell them every day almost, man, you're going to be so much better than your dad. I want them to know that that's part of the process. They're going to be better than me.
They're going to be better.
Yeah. I mean, you said living in the shadow of your dad, but I'd imagine your dad's still very proud of you, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But you certainly, as a kid or you want to make your dad proud. And then especially in something that not only that he values, but also you value as well. And, so there's always been like this, I wouldn't say tension, but there's always been we still compete, although we've probably lifted together very few times.
I can see that.
It's
weird. Too competitive?
What
do you mean?
Well, I mean, like what stuff he was doing when I started getting strong, I had my workouts that I needed to do to throw far, and he was doing the stuff he wanted to do. And sometimes we'd work in on a set, but we didn't have a lot of days where we just trained together. Because honestly, like he's a competitive dude. Like he would have run my ass into the ground.
My boys would much rather train with like one of my Matt. Yeah. Matt coaches my boys, and they love it. When I coach them, they get super mad.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear it.
For their dad.
Yeah.
They don't need a coach and a dad.
So,
they don't want to hear it from me.
So I've thought about the other day. I need to do it more because I know he's not going to be around forever, and I want to make sure that I get to share a bar with him a lot of times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I was strong and training hard, he still would have been one of those like, hey, let's do dumbbell rows, and then like
try to outdo.
And then we'd be doing like 180-pound dumbbell rows, and I'd be like, what are we doing? And he's just like, just
this is what we're doing,
just because he can,
I think that's. I think
you get to lift a lot with your kids these days. How old are they again?
They're 4, 7, and 9. So I mean, they play in the gym and mess around, and they're not really in it. And I wanted to make sure. I know they have the capability genetically to do it. My wife is a tall, athletic person, so like they're going to be all right.
Yeah,
well bred.
So I don't worry. Like I better make them do something. I'd rather them just move a lot. Understand work. I'd rather them do menial BS work in the yard that just teaches them how to do things that suck and to embrace that and to be okay with it versus like they have to do the perfect technique and this and that and the other.
Right.
Because I think that personally I think that my kids are too soft.
Yeah. My daughter just.
I worry about that a lot. Like I talk about that with my friends. Like I've actually talked with the Smelly Bell about Mark Bell about this very thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, are we creating?
When we interviewed him, he was very insightful about it because his kids play a lot.
I'm like, are we
different?
I know they're different, and they're not athletic.
They're not into it at all.
And like, I'm like, I don't want to create, like a weaker version of me. Like, that's doing them a disservice. Like,
and the bad part is the success generally breeds that.
I know.
And that's what I fear is as we get more successful personally. I mean, finances coming with it. I'm like, man, they never had to worry about like. And I told the kids the other day, like, all you have to think about is playing.
I actually always wonder this with people that have kind of followed this path of chasing barbells, but like, I feel like many of them at some point in time were like, I'll just sleep in the gym. This is just where I'll live my life. There isn't a ton of money and equipment in the early stages, and you're developing this brand. Was there a time where you're just like, who cares what happens? I just have to go follow this path.
Yeah, because I would rather. I mean, in those times of my life, I'd rather seen a steel ball go far or a big weight go up than anything.
Yeah,
really. And I never came from. We never came from money, so I didn't know like you need to be able to drive this or do that or whatever. It was like, hey, if you could pay your bills and enjoy what you're enjoying, and kind of how I always almost saw it as a hack, really, because I thought about it. I said, well, what do most people do in life? They go to a job that they hate or they dislike or tolerate at best to make money, to get taxed on it, that they have less of that money when they get it, and then they have to pay a bunch of bills. And so maybe one day there's a little percentage of that money that they get to do what they want to do eventually when they have enough time to do what they want to do to go enjoy their life.
They wouldn't even want to do it by the time they get there, though.
That seems like a very long, convoluted way of working to get to do what you want to do and be happy.
Yeah.
And I go, or I could
go backwards.
I'm doing it on the front end, son. Yeah.
I can make half to 2/3 that much money.
Yeah.
But get it on the front end.
I've actually never heard this analogy. It's so good.
And get to do it on the front end, and it's tax-free. I don't have to wait for it. And if I'm really good at it, maybe this lump sum becomes larger than it would have been.
Yeah.
And so that's honestly what I tell some of my people when we're, interviewing whatever. I was like, you might not make zillions and zillions of dollars, but if what you want to do in life is this, you're mainlining that.
Yeah.
And then what you get paid for, sweet, you get paid for some stuff.
100%. That's what I've always.
That's how I see it.
Me too. If you said, okay, you're going to work until you're 70, then you get to chill. I'm like, then I'm shooting myself now because I want to experience life. I want to, while I'm young.
While you have the juice to.
Yes. And until I cannot move anymore.
Yes.
I'm going to experience life. I'm going to go see these places I read about.
Sure.
I want to go to Iceland. We talk about that. I want to go see these, huge Thor and all these huge people.
Yeah.
I don't want to read about it. I want to go see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the hack is, how do you make your skill set valuable enough to go do the crap that you want to do in life?
Yeah.
And maybe there's a little bit money left over to do a secondary thing. Maybe you like making kites. Great. You can buy kites.
Yeah.
But perfect. But I ain't going to go through all this process to get to get to do what I want in life.
When I don't even want to do it then. Like, I'm going to be like, I'm just trying to die.
Just trying to die.
Like, I don't want to. I want to do it when I feel great.
Yeah.
And, I want to travel. Like, I knew at 8 years old, I remember walking down what we would call it was an orchard. We had an orchard full with apple trees. I'm by myself. We grew up in the middle of nowhere. It's like 600 acres of land in the deepest parts of the mountains of North Carolina. And I remember being by myself, being like, I love it. It's pretty, but I cannot stay here my whole life.
Right.
I've got to go see these places I'm reading about. And if I don't, I will die.
Right.
Yeah.
And I knew that moment.
And one of the choices would have been go work in a local store or factory.
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Sweat through life your whole life to maybe once a year for a week get to go to a place that would be cool if you could save up enough money to do it. I know a lot of the world does that, but that sounds horrible.
That's hell.
Horrible.
That is my personal hell.
Yeah.
If you said you're going to stay here until you're 70, you're going to work in this factory.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful, the mountains, but I love where I'm from.
Sure.
But that would be, you might as well shoot me right there.
Yeah.
I would turn into a horrible person.
Right.
Yeah.
Or figure out a way that if you love the mountains and you still want to do all that stuff, kind of like we've done here, we've created a business that allows amazing people, because that's part of what I enjoy doing is talking with amazing people, where they come to us and we show them a value. So we get to do what we like to do, still make a little bit of a living from it, and then maybe you love those mountains and maybe you build a training center up in those mountains where people come and visit you. You get to win it all.
Yeah.
But you got to be smart enough to put it together, and you got to work harder than everyone else around you to make it actually work.
Yeah, you got to have something that you can give to people.
Yes.
Like that solves something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you guys having Summer Strong this year? Maybe?
Not sure yet.
Maybe.
We're doing Winter Strong this weekend, and that's going to be kind of a pilot to see how it works. We're doing actually COVID testing prior to, and if you don't do it within 36 hours, we're doing it at the event before you gain entry.
Yeah. Wait, what exactly are those events, though?
So Summer Strong is kind of the, how would I put it? Some people have said it's like a TED Talk, it's a conference, it's a family reunion group therapy session.
It's a lot of things.
It's weird. So what it actually is
sounds like a very honest weekend.
Yes. Oh yeah.
No lifting meet as a part of that.
Well, we do have an off competition. We have a PR party, deadlift and squat, and it's literally we'll have 4 bars on the platforms. Bars going up, and it's one of those
for fun thing.
Get in where you fit in.
Get in where you fit in, and if you want to just go for a PR snatch, and that's the bar that's rolling, you snatch until you can't snatch it, and then someone's going to be deadlifting it as a warm-up.
But it only goes up.
It goes up. The bar goes up. That's awesome. That's all it is. There'll be 2 or 3 bars here, 2 or 3 bars here, and the bars will go up. And then after a while, there'll be like 1 or 2 dudes standing on the platform. The year I deadlifted 6, I was like 10th or 12th in the stack. They're like,
it's the studs.
That's a lot of. There was like 2 dudes deadlifted over 8, and this isn't in a real comp. It's just it's like holy cow.
Yeah.
But then we'll have squats and stuff like that, and we'll give some prizes for it. But it's not like it's for nothing. But let's all get together and do it, because you get
we love doing it.
I got to share the platform with my 68-year-old dad and my 6-year-old son the same day.
Oh,
yeah.
That's awesome.
And then that's the cool
stuff. That might
stuff.
be a once in a life. You might not ever get to do that.
We have a picture of it. It's all 3 of us lifting the same day.
Oh, that's bad.
And you're like, that's what you do it for.
Yeah.
And my 4-year-old son got to hop in with there, and then, anybody, and some people, they might just train up for Summer Strong. They're like, I'm going to pull a big dead every year at Summer Strong, and that's what I'm going to do.
That's cool.
For the other 18 hours or whatever for the weekend. It's presentations, and there's all this kind of different stuff going on, and breakout sessions and whatever.
They have some amazing people coming.
It's super fun.
I met Matt Vincent there. That's where I met him. And we've been friends ever since.
Yeah,
so,
we got to get you to speak one year.
I would love to.
So it's just kind of, we just pull interesting people that we get to, and live in this life. We get to pull them in and say, hey, you have an interesting story, but we build it kind of like a movie, or like I kind of see it like a story in our heads, where you don't always have the same, like, it would be very boring if it's all power lifters or all Olympic lifters or all crossfitters or whatever. So you build it where you kind of know emotionally where it's going to go, or you try to. You can't do everything. But we build the weekend where, this guy's going to bring this guy's going to bring us up and down and up and down. And then you have a Tate Fletcher talk, and then you have a Judd Logan talk, and then you have a Laura Zara, and people are like, why did you bring the girl from Naked and Afraid? And then you hear her story, and you're like, your mind's blown. Or you bring a Cameron Haynes, people are like, why are we bringing a bow hunter guy? It's like, well, just let him talk. Let's find out. And it all boils down to strength of character, strength of person, strength of purpose. It all comes down to strength and just strenuous life and living that code like you talk about. It's the people who live the code, not a number associated with their name. Like, oh, he was a 1,000-pound squatter. Okay, cool, 1,000-pound squatter. There better be more than that. Just because you can stand up a lot of weight.
There's like 10 of those now. So what makes them?
And so that's, and I'm very fortunate to be able to meet a bunch of very interesting people. And part of it is just the people you're like, gosh, I really want to hear his story, or I know his story. I want 600 other people to know his or her story. And so that's what Summer Strong becomes. And then there's going back to like the York picnic days. We cook out, we do the whole thing, and just allow people to fellowship with one another. But intentionally, we build it where there's no specific group. Here's a good example. So you might have a Navy SEAL, you might have an Olympic shot put champion, you might have a powerlifter. What I found is if you have all Navy SEALs in the room, it ain't a good deal. Because everyone's flexing on each other. It's all power lifters. Everyone only sees what is your total. If you're a shot putter, it's like always happens, right? So you build this competitiveness that you don't get a free-flowing information and actually to meld together. But if you get everyone if you're in this room, you are successful and you are someone that could easily be on stage right now, but you have a different skill set than you, well, then you're going to listen. Because you go, I'm not competing with you. I want to know what you do because you're very successful and you're an extraordinary person. You're just a different extraordinary person as me. So now we can figure out how to work together and talk because I'm not trying to beat you right now. And that's when you kind of pull that together. You come up with a really interesting chemistry with people that we found. And as we found that the recipe works.
I love that.
That's cool.
I could go for another hour, but here we are. Where can people find you? Summer Strong, Sorinex?
Sorinex.com. Bert Soren on IG. Sorinex on IG. We have also Sorinex Outdoors if you're kind of
all social media stuff so awesome these days.
It's kind of crazy. We have Sorinex Squattober. If you've ever done Squattober, that was something.
Who hasn't?
That Aaron Osmus and I came up with about 6-7 years ago.
It crushes.
Yeah, it's the world's largest squat party. So that we have December, which is another fun event. And again, that's
more recent, right? December.
We've done it for 5 years or so. And the whole point of it really isn't. It's just to make people work. To bring people together and to say, hey, honestly, I don't care what you squat or don't squat. I don't really care. Are you getting better? Can you stick with something for 30 days? Are you going to be supportive to the group of people around you? Are you going to live the code and do the hard stuff? That's what it's about. And mostly, people generally hit PRs because it's good programming, and it proves a point to people that you could do something more than you think you can and still get a result for. People go, oh, you only squat once a week. Maybe if you're squatting 1,000, whatever. But if you program it right, with intensities and loads and everything like that, you could go almost 30 days and end up with a PR on day 30.
You will. Amazing. Probably. Frequency is the quickest way to get it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then what's funny thing we found is usually 2 to 3 weeks after that, everyone gets big bench presses.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, the body, it's not like this muscle's growing, the whole body's growing.
Everyone just gets jacked, and they're like, whoa, and then they're kind of rested up top, and you're like, oh, that's cool. So, those are some different things we're doing. But the biggest thing about Sorinex, what we're doing, we're trying to create solutions within the industry and build a different community that has always been associated with the human performance world.
Awesome.
So.
Coach Travis Smash.
Mashley.com. This was an honor.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me.
Doug Larson.
Bet. On Instagram, Douglas C. Larson. Bert, dude, I really appreciate you hanging out with us. I want to do this for many, many years. I got a lot of respect for you, your dad, and everything you guys have built, so I appreciate you being with us.
We've been talking about this for over a year.
Oh, my gosh.
For sure.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you for coming. It's been super fun. You'll have to come to Summer Strong.
Yeah, super
I would
excited.
love to.
If we're gonna be back on the road again this year, it's a good place to kick it off, and an awesome 2 hours and 15 minutes here.
That's the longest podcast of my career.
Smashed it. Could have kept going too.
Yep. Push another 45 and go Joe Rogan podcast.
All right. I am Anders Varner at Anders Varner, and we are Barbell Shrugged at Barbell_Shrugged. And make sure you get over to aratelab.com. That is the signature program inside Rapid Health Optimization, where you can go and experience all the lab, lifestyle, performance, testing, analysis, and coaching to help you optimize your health and performance. And you can access all of that over at aratelab.com. Friends, we'll see you guys next week.